I don't think I am the smartest person in the room. I don't think I'm the most articulate person in the room. I don't think I'm the strongest person in the room. The only thing which I know is be resilient and not give up. अगर आपको लाइफ में कुछ चाहिए तो उसके पीछे लग जाओ. Oh, I am a bhujia fan, and that's the reason we also had an unjunk baked bhujia.
Yeah.
And
Another plugin,
and you have to try it out. And
gift me. I'm a poor founder.
When people say that entrepreneurship is a roller coaster ride, I've read it. I never understood the depth of it until I experienced it myself. And nothing can prepare you for that. You never join a firm because of the present. You join a firm because of the future that you want to co-create. And as a founder, you need to be able to tell that story.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be the best salesperson, and people can visualize the future that you want to build. When you are spending 16, and we can debate 14 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours, how many number of hours, you really want to spend it with people you really enjoy building. And whenever I am in a tough zone or I'm in a happy zone, when I'm having a conversation with you, we really enjoy. We might laugh at it, I might cry, but
In fact, you have.
yes, I have. But it will be a conversation which, when I look back, I will feel proud of.
Welcome to the 7th episode of The Lifeboat. Today's episode is rather special to me, as I have a dynamic entrepreneur whom I have personally seen building a company from the very start. Her resilience, confidence, and sheer hard work doesn't cease to amaze me. Join me in welcoming the incredible Ahana Gautam, founder and CEO of Open Secret, an entrepreneur who's bringing the unjunk movement with her healthy food options, spoke on various important topics जो आज के न्यू एज एंटरप्रेन्योर्स के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एंड नॉलेजेबल है, जैसे द एसेंस ऑफ ग्रैटिट्यूड especially in entrepreneurship, the power of intangible versus tangible capital, the power of social media for young entrepreneurs and what it does to them, the power of always believing in yourself, and most importantly, your own mindset, and much, much more. Ahana also shared some amazing wisdom from her IIT and Harvard journeys and gave her thoughts on the definition of a mentor and mentorship. Sit back, enjoy the episode, learn from it, use the information and keep building one step at a time. Watch, like, share and subscribe to the channel and comment and let us know what you thought of this episode and what helped you. Welcome to the Lifeboat. Let's dive in. Ahana Gautam, welcome to the Lifeboat.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to have a deep conversation with you, Vinayak, and I'm so looking forward to this.
मुझे सबसे अच्छा पता है क्या लगा कि you've already assumed it's going to be deep.
I think I know you. I know you well.
Yeah.
I know the depth
Yeah.
that you will go to.
कहीं ना कहीं तो चले जाएंगे, डेप्थ में तो पहुंच ही जाएंगे.
बिल्कुल.
But why do you think we are doing this?
For me, I know why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for you. And I think why you are doing this, that you should share.
So, I have to first say thank you. Not because of the fact that I know you're doing this for me, but for the fact that, you are a part of my heart. You are one of those people who, बहुत पहले when I even conceptualized this idea, I spoke to you about it. And I know the kind of vociferous cheerleading that I got. और मेरे लिए बहुत मायने रखता था ये, because it started as just a passion project. It started एक छोटा सा एक आइडिया कि कुछ अलग करना है, कुछ डिफरेंट करना है. But I guess it's shaping up to be beautiful. The last few episodes have shown a lot of love. It's shown a lot of traction. And my whole thought, and by now, a lot of our audience know why I'm doing this. But यार, पता है आना, यहाँ पे ना इंडिया में दो किस्म के thought process के हिसाब से audience है. One, and with all due respect, with all reasons and good reasons for it, people who are IIT or IIT equivalent passed out, hallowed institution oriented people who have a beautiful currency, and that currency is called the currency of access.
Yep.
Access to alumni, access to network, access to funds, access to ideation, बहुत सारे चीज़ हो सकते हैं. And then simultaneously, देयर इज अ मेरिट इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज जहाँ पे शायद वो एक्सेस मिसिंग है, बट वो सेम शिद्दत, वो सेम जुनून, ये सेम थॉट प्रोसेस इज ऑल्सो देयर. एंड माई ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ गिविंग बैक टू द इकोसिस्टम इज कि शायद द लर्निंग्स फ्रॉम दिस लाइफ बोट, it creates some kind of a democratized pattern. It creates some kind of a equivalent atmosphere to say यार कुछ तो सीखे, कुछ अलग सीखे. So coming to that, I want to start with a lot of things. बहुत सारे conversations होंगे, and you know me, it's never going to be scripted, it's never going to be following any particular pattern. But if I have to ask you, when I ask about Lifeboat, आपके जहन में क्या आता है?
अगर आप विनायक मुझसे शायद 1 साल पहले ये क्वेश्चन पूछते, माई आंसर वुड हैव बिन डिफरेंट. बट टुडे अगर मैं सोचती हूँ तो मुझे लगता है कि एक इंसान की जो लाइफ बोट होती है, उसका खुद का रेजिलियंस होता है, उसका खुद का सेल्फ बिलीफ और डिटर्मिनेशन होता है. आई नो यू स्पोक अबाउट रिसोर्सेज, एक्सेस, बट आई ट्रूली बिलीव जो एक इंसान में एक जज्बा होता है, दैट फायर इन देयर बेली, दैट इज़ अ लाइफ बोट. And it will enable you to survive कैसे भी thunderstorms आएं. For me, that is what I would say.
You know why I'm smiling? I'm smiling because I already resonate so beautifully to what you say, because one part of when I keep talking about this, I say that कहीं ना कहीं जिंदगी में हम डूबते हैं किसी ना किसी तरीके से. It might be our inner demons, it might be circumstances, it might be mindset, it might be situations. और उस डूबने से बचाने के लिए is the thought process of Lifeboat that comes in. And for some people it might be their family, their partners, their co-founders, their ecosystem. And for some people it just might be the person in the mirror. And that's what you highlighted. Because mindset, to my mind, is the strongest lifeboat that one can have. So थोड़ा सा इसमें हम गहराई में जाएंगे. And I'm going to go granular. You know me. I like getting into a little bit of depth. पहले ही आपने वो बता दिया. So take us through your perspective of that mindset. आजकल ना आना founder mindset लेके बहुत बातें हो रही है. So I want you to stitch two things for me and for our audience. When you look at the mindset, and today as an entrepreneur, because it has evolved over a point of time, पिछले 3-4 साल में I have seen how much of evolution has come through individually to you. Now take it back to that little girl, छोटे से एक भरतपुर में, छोटे से एक शहर, गांव में, if I may say so, being brought up, being addressed to a situation in a society जो आज के डेट पे जो आप देख रहे हो वैसा नहीं है. Take us through that mindset of evolution. Does it actually have to be कि जब एक इंसान छोटे शहर से आए, छोटे गांव से आए, बहुत सारा दिक्कत, बहुत सारा resilience देखने के बाद, when that person evolves, is it that naturally therefore the mindset is stronger when you're building something? Or is it a lot about how your inner self is, how you are as a DNA, as a fabric? थोड़ा उसके बारे में बताइए.
तो जैसे कि आपने बोला विनायक, I grew up in Bharatpur. It's a very small city in Rajasthan. And I do feel that life में ना आपके ऐसे crucible moments होते हैं जो आपको shape करते हैं, they define you. And my childhood is definitely one of those experiences. Especially as a girl child. I remember, मतलब जैसे आप बचपन होता है, जब मैं यहाँ पे बॉम्बे में बच्चों को देखती हूँ, they're playing outside, they're going for XYZ classes. That was not my childhood. I used to be in a locked house, and that was because I was raised by a single working mother. वो कॉलेज में होती थी और वो हमेशा लॉक करके घर जाती थी. It used to be a very unsafe city for especially girls. And वो हमेशा बोलती थी कोई भी आए गेट मत खोलना. कोई बोले तुम्हारी मॉम का एक्सीडेंट हो गया है, कुछ भी बोले गेट मत खोलना. माई एंटायर चाइल्डहुड वॉज इन दैट लॉक्ड हाउस. एंड बहुत सारे लोग हमारे घर पे आते थे, एंड ये सारी प्रोफेसर्स, वेरी वेल एजुकेटेड विमेन. एंड आई रिमेंबर आई वॉज प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर IIT. इवन IIT की भी तैयारी क्यों करनी थी, क्योंकि बहुत ही सिंपल था और बहुत ही क्लियर था दैट देयर वाज नो फ्यूचर इन दैट सिटी फॉर मी. एंड माई मॉम ऑलवेज टॉट मी दैट you really need to build a legacy for yourself. You have to be financially independent. There were two ways. Either you become a doctor or you become an engineer. I loved maths, and for me, I think engineering became my goal for that. तो जब मैं IIT की पढ़ाई कर रही थी, मुझे याद है बहुत सारे ऐसे प्रोफेसर्स और मॉम की फ्रेंड्स आती थी एक का एक डायलॉग है, उन्होंने बोला कि मेरा बड़ा भाई वो ऑलरेडी IIT में जा चुका था, एंड उन्होंने बोला कि आपका तो IIT का सपना पूरा हो गया, आपका बेटा IIT में है, आप इसको क्यों IIT की प्रेरणा दे रहे हो, इसके लिए लड़का कहाँ से लेकर आओगे. एंड इट वॉज सो अनफॉर्चुनेट दैट पेरेंट्स और फैमिलीज in Rajasthan, they had different dreams for girls and they had different dreams for boys. You know, when we live in Bombay and when we live in these metro cities, we feel there is equality, but let me tell you, it's a very unfair world. It's not an equal world. I am very vocal about it. I write about it on LinkedIn. And you have to really go to those cities to really feel and understand the differences. It's the conditioning, it's what you tell and say every single day. So for me, I would say, बहुत ही प्रिविलेज फील करती हूँ कि मैं एक ऐसे घर में पैदा हुई जहाँ मेरी माँ थी एज अ रोल मॉडल, एंड शी ऑलवेज इंस्पायर्ड मी कि आप हमेशा फाइट मारिए फॉर द बेस्ट इन क्लास. एंड देन शी टोल्ड मी एजुकेशन लेवल्स द प्लेइंग फील्ड. फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता आपका जेंडर क्या है, फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता आप कहाँ से आए हो, इट गिव्स यू एन अपॉर्चुनिटी एंड देन इट डिपेंड्स ऑन यू व्हाट यू मेक आउट ऑफ इट. एंड दैट हैज़ बिन द मंत्रा माई एंटायर लाइफ कि हमेशा एजुकेशन पे फोकस करिए, एंड दैट इज़ समथिंग विच हैज स्टेड विथ मी. सेकंड, स्टेटस को हमेशा चैलेंज करिए, विश्वास रखिए खुद पर, अपनी मेहनत पर, एंड यू विल बी एबल टू मूव माउंटेन्स. सो दैट would be the, I would say, whenever I'm low, I'm sad, I think about the journey that I have made, and it gives me the strength that when you can come from there, you can really make a difference.
True. In fact, isko na main when I talk to a lot of my people, my colleagues, my team members, so there's this terminology that I use. It's called the northward and the southward syndrome. Now, why northward and southward syndrome is कि आप जब हमेशा ऊपर देखोगे ना, when you look at north, you will always see somebody ahead of you. It's not possible कि आप top most में पहुंच गए. And at times you'll feel like यार frustration हो गया कि you're trying to get, but it's always इतना gap है, इतना gap है, इतना gap है. And that's when you're supposed to look southward. And when you look below, you realize कि आप कितने लोगों से आगे आ गए हो, कितने लोगों से आप शायद एक बहुत बेहतरीन सिचुएशन में पहुंच गए हो. And that to my mind is the calibrator of mindset.
But I think differently, विनायक.
बताइए.
मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ऐसा मैं पहले सोचती थी, बट अब मैं दुनिया में किसी को नहीं देखती हूँ, मैं सिर्फ खुद को देखती हूँ. अगर आप मुझसे पूछोगे कि मेरा हीरो कौन है, मेरा रोल मॉडल कौन है, इट्स गोइंग टू बी मी 5 years down the line.
True.
एंड अगर मैं जो जर्नी की बात करती हूँ, आई नेवर कंपेयर माई सेल्फ कि मेरे स्कूल वाले दोस्त कहाँ पर हैं, मेरे कॉलेज वाले दोस्त कहाँ पर हैं. आई कंपेयर माई सेल्फ टू दैट 15-year-old Ahana, 20-year-old Ahana. Am I proud of the journey that I am going with? तो कंपैरिजन जो होता है कभी भी किसी और से मत करिए, क्योंकि एंड आप इंस्पिरेशन ले सकते हैं, आप देख सकते हैं.
I was about to talk about that.
But I strongly believe कि you have to believe in becoming a better version of yourself every single day. और ये जो रैट रेस होती है, क्योंकि आपको पता नहीं ना, सोशल मीडिया पे सब लोग, मैं भी बहुत अच्छी चीज़ें लिखती हूँ, सब लोग बहुत अच्छी चीज़ें लिखते हैं. यू हैव अ वेरी यूनिक एडवांटेज. आई थिंक यू रियली नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड हु यू आर. यू हैव टू बी ऑथेंटिक वर्जन and you have to be a better version every single day.
So I think ये थोड़ा basic है. I think this is fundamental, that the race is always against yourself. The race is always about becoming 1% better than what you were yesterday. But थोड़ा सा इसको और डीप जाते हैं. Is it possible, Ahana, therefore, कि आप सिर्फ अर्जुन की तरह मछली के आँख के हिसाब से सोच के अपने हिसाब से कंपेयर करके बोलो, am I better, am I getting better, am I getting better? But like what you beautifully also outlined, and when I meant about northward, southward, for me it's about the inspiration to say that where you have reached.
Yeah.
You have to draw inspiration, right? Because there are two things, and I want to highlight a bit about this, which I think is missing to a great extent आज के date में. The essence of gratitude. A lot of people don't understand the simplest things in life, Ahana, जिसके लिए तुम्हें gratitude होना चाहिए. The fact that we are breathing, the fact that our limbs are intact, the fact that we can go across and think, the fact that we are not lying in a hospital. After the pandemic, you realize the level of fragility that came into construct. And that's when you realize how to recalibrate. So thoda sa na, and because I'm going to talk about a lot of things which is going to be perhaps, and the objective of this podcast is to extract out learnings from you, because काफी सारे हमारे दर्शक, काफी सारे my audience is in that zone of building something. They're trying to create something. They may be in that emotional conundrum. They may be in that situation where they're facing that conundrum, but they're confused. ये करूँ या ना करूँ. You've seen a business go through a cycle of fragility also because of a pandemic. You've survived it. You built around it. We'll go into all those depths later. But पहले चीज मुझे ये बताइए, when a founder feels he or she is down and out, how do you recalibrate? How do you bounce off? How do you get back again without taking inspiration? And if you don't take inspiration, how do you manage to do that? So take a bit, because why I'm going into founder mindset, because इसको थोड़ा deep में इसलिए जाऊँगा, because mindset is the differentiator in my mind between trying to build something versus actually building something. So थोड़ा सा इस पर depth पे जाओ आना, for the benefit of our audience. When someone feels down and out, and you've had several episodes of your life, professional and personal, where you've been down and out, but you've risen like a phoenix. So take us through that and give us some learning around how to recalibrate the mindset.
So I think firstly, when people say that entrepreneurship is a roller coaster ride, I've read it. I never understood the depth of it until I experienced it myself. And nothing can prepare you for that. So I'll tell you two things which have helped me. पहला होता है, मुझे लगता है कि especially, and lot of people talk about it, that self belief and confidence, कि जब आप एक low phase में होते हो तो कैसे आप एक self belief रख सकते हो, कैसे आप confidence में रह सकते हो. And you know, we have spoken about the pep talk in standing in front of the mirror, talking to yourself, वो सारी चीज़ें, striking a power pose. I don't think that works. If you truly want to have real confidence, you need to be disciplined. And what do I mean by discipline? You're waking up at 5 in the morning. You are showing up. If you really want to work out, you're showing up. If you want to eat right, you are eating right. If you have to work 16 hours, you are working 16 hours. Your friends might be calling you for drinks. Your family might be asking you to go out for movies. But you put in that mehnat. And जब आप वो disciplined होते हो ना, because you know your words mean something. Yeah. Because अगर आप खुद से बात कर रहे हो कि कल से ना मैं 5 बजे रोज सुबह उठूंगा या उठूंगी, but आप अगर कल नहीं उठते हो, you start doubting yourself. क्योंकि आपको पता है कि आपके words में weight नहीं है. So first of all, when you are that low, at least what works for me is I don't go and talk about it. I don't believe in venting it out कि यार चल दारू पे बात करते हैं या क्या चल रहा है मेरी ज़िंदगी में. I put my head down and I work. And जब आप वो मेहनत करते हैं, I have seen this Vinayak every single time. It has given me returns every single time, and there is no substitute for that. एंड जब आपको लगता है ना कि एक बार मैंने अपना दिमाग किसी चीज़ पर लगा दिया है, आई नो आई एम गोना डिलीवर बिकॉज यू बिलीव इन दैट वंस यू डिसाइड समथिंग यू गोना डू अ डैम गुड जॉब. एंड देन आउटपुट ऑफ कोर्स will follow. Focus on that input. That's number one. Number two, Vinayak, I believe what has really helped me, and I think I've seen like the lowest of the lows, the personal losses that I've gone through, is the purpose, is the why behind you do things. And for me, startup जो होता है, and I think a lot of people have spoken about it, if you are not doing it for the right reasons, if you don't have a bigger picture, if you don't have that mission, it's so easy to give up. Someone like me, a lot of people ask me, अरे आप IIT से हो, आप हार्वर्ड से हो, US में इतनी अच्छी लाइफ थी, यहाँ पे आप इतने धक्के खा रहे हो, like you're you're requesting people, meetings, all of that, why you're doing this? Because of the purpose that I really want to one junk snacking for every Indian family. I came back because I knew India is one of the most unhealthy packaged food country in the world. I was an overweight kid. I was 3x my current size. I used to fall sick all the time. And when I think about that purpose and how I'm bringing more and more women onto this journey, when I'm down, I think about the women on the shop floor who've been working tirelessly, making the product with so much love. I think about these 150, 200 people, smartest people I've ever met, who could have joined any organization, but they joined the mission of Open Secret. And that gives me so much confidence. And that gives me कि ये जो pain है ना, उसके सामने कुछ भी नहीं है.
True.
So purpose really shows you that light in the darkest tunnel. And I always think about the why I'm doing this. And once that's clear, I just put my head down and work.
You know, what I extract out of this, and a lot of people don't understand the value of it. Monotony जो है ना, it actually pays in life. So बहुत बार लोगों को लगता है कि यार आप कुछ चीज़ monotonously कर रहे हो, और करते जा रहे हो, then you're like at one point the mind says, यार I need to break free, मुझे ये नहीं करना है. But what people don't realize is that the time to break free is actually nothing but perhaps reinventing yourself because you've reached a particular level. I'll give you an example. So I've been doing this and advising people, as you know, for almost 2 decades now. एक तरीके से देखा जाए तो लोग बोलेंगे यार काफ़ी मोनोटोनस हो गया यार, मतलब अब ना एक ट्रांजैक्शन में तुम क्या सीखोगे. अब 20 साल हो गए यार, इतने फाउंडर्स को एडवाइस कर लिए, इतने फाउंडर्स जिगरी बन गए, दिल के टुकड़े बन गए. One of them is sitting here in front of me. But perhaps the way, and this is what I'm trying to say, because a lot of my audience and your, in this episode will also be young advisors who are trying to perhaps create equation with their clients of what it is today, where the client evolves to becoming a dear friend. And perhaps the learning is कि आप कुछ चीज़ ना लाइफ में इतने monotonously continuously करते जाओ कि आप उसमें इतने उम्दे बनो. You become such a champion, you become so good at what you do that you can then perhaps carve out time and do certain things which really matter because you can afford to. A lot of people don't go into the reality. बहुत लोग बोलते हैं यार, do what you love, you will never burn out. Follow your passion, you will never burn out. Passion, do what you love, all of that comes as a matter of choice and ability. When you have that thought process to say कि अब मैं ये कर सकता हूँ या कर सकती हूँ, वो thought के लिए आने के लिए there are a lot of journeys that people go through. One of the journeys which I want to now get a little more deeper into. काफ़ी सारे हमारे दर्शक होंगे who either are trying to get into an IIT equivalent, perhaps are in an IIT equivalent. A lot of people are looking at folks like you and saying, यार ये ना मेरा trajectory है which I want to follow. The IIT, the IIM equivalent or the Harvard equivalent, fantastic job, life is great, become a founder. Or if not, continue. बहुत सारे shades हैं in terms of whether you want to be a founder, whether you want to continue as an entrepreneur. But nobody goes into the depth, Ahana, of how does a small town girl crack IIT, number one. Number two, the fact that IIT also, a lot of my friends in this season have told, is the greatest equalizer. Because जब आप IIT में पहुंचते आपको लगता है आपने तो सब कुछ अचीव कर लिया, आप ही आप हो, बाकी सब आपके सामने कुछ नहीं, आप ही तोप हो. But when you come there, you realize you're perhaps the least smartest of the lot because every other smart individual has cracked it. So take us through a bit about, for the benefit of our audience, for the benefit of our viewers, what is it like to crack IIT? So that a lot of people who are in that jagdojahd, I want them to understand and learn from you. When you look at IIT, how easy is it? How is life in IIT? Take us through that journey. Take us through the journey of a Harvard. How does life happen in a Harvard? Because Harvard is a dream for so many people. They can't afford it. Very few people can crack and go with the scholarship like you did. So take us through a bit of that journey because I want to say why I'm saying this. These are the ammunition that allows the benefit of choice to an individual to follow his or her heart. जब तक आपके पास choice नहीं है ना, you can't follow your passion. फिर you have to do something so well till you can take out time, which I was giving you an example. So थोड़ा सा इस journey पे जाइए. Take us through your IIT journey. Take us through the Harvard journey. How did all of it happen?
So I think firstly, I will take zero credit for this. Again, I'll thank my angel mother. She was the reason. She always, as I said, inspired me कि भाई education पे focus करो, and that's one thing which I'll tell to a lot of people that please invest in education for girls. I think it's extremely important that we do that. मुझे लगता है इंसान में ना एक सर्वाइवल एक माइंडसेट होता है. मेरे सामने 2 ही रास्ते थे. एक तो मेरी मॉम ने बोला था एक आरडी गर्ल्स कॉलेज है, यहाँ पे तुम्हारा एडमिशन करा देंगे अगर तुम्हारा आईआईटी में नहीं हुआ तो.
ओके.
And I really did not want to study
in RD girls
in that college in Bharatpur, and I really wanted a better life. तो वो होता है ना कि जिंदा रहने की जो फाइट होती है.
Clutching straws syndrome.
Exactly. That is what it was. And
so how do you prepare for it? Where do you go?
I think.
Did you also go to the usual quota from Rajasthan? Yeah. How's that journey? Tell us a bit about that.
See, I think sabke, and again, firstly, I also want to put a disclaimer that neither IIT nor HBS nor IIM is needed to be successful in life. Because कभी कभार क्या होता है कि हम ये चीज़ें डाल देते हैं और हमें लगता है दिस इज़ द ओनली पाथ टू सक्सेस. इफ़ यू सी लॉट ऑफ सक्सेसफुल founders, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, Kunal Shah, I mean, they have a completely different trajectory. So I also don't want to put a lot of weightage to these brand names. Honestly,
I can't resonate more than that. I come from no brand name. Yeah.
Exactly. And to be honest, Vinayak, I wasn't confident enough to have self-belief, and that's the reason I was looking for this external validation and all these external brands to put on the resume to prove a point to the world that I'm worthy enough. Now, if you think about it, I feel confident, I am very authentic, I know what I can do. But at that time, I was chasing external validation, and that's the reason why all these brands as well. So there's nothing, as I said, it's neither necessary nor sufficient.
इसको आप hold करना, because I want to come back to this also after you finish the journey bit.
Yeah, so I think a lot has been said, written about IIT, but one thing which I'll highlight, that especially when I went to IIT, it was a class of 600, approximately 600 people. There were only 28 girls. So there is a lot of things that are said about you only because you're very one of the few girls, and it really helped me build a thick skin. मुझे लगता है कि काफ़ी जो दुनिया होती है उसकी एक अच्छी एक्सपीरियंस मुझे IIT में मिल गया. एंड द अदर थिंग,
पर क्रैक कैसे किया आपने?
मेहनत है, उसका कोई आंसर नहीं है, आप बस मेहनत करो. I think
how difficult is it?
It's extremely difficult. It's extremely hard because it's one of the toughest exams, and there, I think you really just need to, again, I would say it again and again, like put your head down and work and really have that belief that this is something that you deserve and you really need to be there. So for me, that was the motivation that I really need to get out of Bharatpur. And to be honest, that's why IIT Bombay. I really wanted to come to Bombay and imagine like living in a tier 3 city, and Bombay always had this charm. So that's the reason I came to IIT Bombay. And
how was it when you entered? Was it the greatest equalizer?
I think it wasn't about that people around me were smarter than me. For me, it was about where I came from. Even the language, I did not speak English. I did not have any idea what to wear. I did not have any idea how to talk. I had seen no world. I lived in such a protected world, locked house. My mom was always there to protect me. And when I came to IIT, there were people from like metro cities. They were very well prepared. And it came as like a shock, because you realize that, oh, this is a completely different world. And especially on top of that, if you are a girl and there's so much random things which are said about you. I mean, there are things like in IIT, there are males and non-males. So, you go
the term they use is she-males, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, this is, this is, to be honest, I tried so badly to fit in. All my friends were guys, and they used to tell me, "Yaar, don't behave like a girl." And I said, "No, I'm not behaving like a girl," because I so badly wanted to fit in. And now when I think about it, I'm like, wow,
Why?
I will behave like a girl because I am a girl.
Yeah.
So these were some of the experiences which actually made me a better person, a stronger person. I built a thick skin. Having said that, I really want to give a lot of credit to IIT as well. I think people know it for the acads. But for me, it was an opportunity to explore the world. I would have never imagined that I would do theatre in my life.
Yeah.
But it gave me an opportunity to plays, did play at Prithvi Theatre, be on stage, be a storyteller. Who could have imagined IIT will make you experience that world? Then entrepreneurship. Again, that was something which I was part of the entrepreneurship cell at IIT Bombay, and that was the first time I interacted with founders and I interacted with investors. And this is my message to everyone. Like if I have to talk to the audience, I would say that जब आपको एक platform मिलता है, you have to make the best out of it.
Leverage it.
हाँ, और कभी आप ये मत सोचिए कि ये नहीं मिला, जो भी मिला उसमें बहुत मेहनत करिए. आप किसी भी कंपनी में हैं, किसी भी रोल पर है, आज आपके हाथ में जो काम है ना, just give your 200% and you will always move in the right direction. कभी कभार ना हम बैठे रहते हैं, हम सोचते रहे हमें ये नहीं मिला, हमें वो नहीं मिला, and ये पाथ लूँ या ये पाथ लूँ. It's not about which path. Whatever path you're on, just give your 100%.
True.
Be that person कि भाई इसको दिया है तो that person will just kill it, that make that legacy. So that way I think it was a fantastic journey. And again, for me, I really wanted to create. I was very passionate about the consumer world. I wanted to build brands in India, and I thought this was in 2014, where I thought India was like a supply constrained market, and there were a lot of people who were demanding better products, but there were none, and for that was the motivation for me to go to Harvard. Get.
How difficult was it?
It's सब कुछ like difficult. I think Vinayak, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you really want to do something great, it's 10. The difficulty level is 10.
But the best part is that we have to go into detail, because again the purpose of this podcast, Ahana, is कि यार दुनिया में ना बहुत कुछ दिखा जाता है, बहुत कुछ बोला जाता है, but people who have actually gone through it, faced it, they can go more granular about things to say कि difficulty के भी एक levels होते हैं, right? एक दर्शक के लिए क्या चाहिए? एक दर्शक के लिए चाहिए कि is it achievable, or is it so specific in terms of a beautiful adage to say कि यार अर्जुन का मछली का आँख तो यार अर्जुन ही तोड़ सकता है. My point is, can we look at a mindset to say that this is something that is achievable? People like you make it achievable. People like you show it to the people to say कि यार अगर you can do it, a lot of others can do it.
So Vinayak,
so go a little deeper in that.
I am a very average person. If I can do it, anyone can do it. I think
so this is what I want to hear. So therefore tell me how.
So the only thing I would say that, and sometimes I wonder what is my strength, and I don't think I am the smartest person in the room. I don't think I'm the most articulate person in the room. I don't think I'm the strongest person in the room. The only thing which I know is be resilient and not give up. अगर आपको लाइफ में कुछ चाहिए तो उसके पीछे लग जाओ. And that's the principle I have used every single time. When I was at PNG, उन्होंने बोला कि marketing, supply chain.
Was PNG after IIT?
PNG was after IIT. उन्होंने बोला supply chain से marketing में नहीं जाते हैं, but मुझे जाना था. Again, that resilience that I went from supply chain to finance, then to marketing, but because I wanted to do it. When I was at Harvard Business School, I don't think there was any international from India who had joined General Mills. It's again a multi-billion-dollar FMCG company. They were not hiring internationals from India, but I wanted to do it, and not because I was like an extremely smart person, but I had that resilience that if I want something, then you really have to do it. अगर आप बोलते हैं ना शिद्दत से करते हैं, उसका फल मिलता ही है इंसान को. So आप मुझसे कोई भी क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे विनायक, I don't think there is a recipe. If I knew कि हार्वर्ड में आप कैसे जा सकते हो, I would have just started a company where I will give you कि आइए मैं आप two things that
you
work
never,
for me.
Yeah, you never have recipes, but you have paths for people who have achieved that. They can show direction and paths. So I'm sure there are certain things that would have worked for you. Would love to hear that, so that again the viewers can take back some directive.
Yeah.
Idea is for achievers to show the direction. That direction is very curated, है ना Ahana? It might work for some, it might not. But imagine that there is a direction at least that's achievable. So let's talk about that. What worked for you?
So I think two things. Firstly, I think you have to be a very authentic version of yourself. I think a lot of people, when they are writing about, and I'm just talking about Harvard, but in general, if you want to go to an Ivy school, I know a lot of people have reached out to me and they're like,
what is an Ivy school?
So
sorry, I'm asking again not for my sake, I'm asking for the sake of the audience.
Yeah, so you can just say that like the top business schools of the world, if you really want to go there, you have to write essays. So IIT में बहुत ही objective exams होते हैं जहाँ पे आपको exam clear करना होता है, and if you get good marks, you get through IIT. You go to IIT and typically MBA schools जो होते हैं वो different होते हैं. वहाँ पे आपको पूरी application लिखनी होती है. आपको of course एक GMAT का एग्जाम देना होता है where you get a score, and of course you ideally need 700 plus
for eligibility.
Like they haven't clarified, but typically that's what I've heard. That's a good benchmark to have.
How much did you get?
I think I got around 730 plus or something. Along with that, you have to write an application, and a lot of the times you try and copy someone else's journey because they went to that Ivy League school or they went to Harvard or Stanford.
So you think that some people might think that might just
that's
work.
That's a recipe. But what I have realized, the people who are interviewing you, they are so smart.
And they've gone through all of that.
They want to know the real you. They want to know the real Vinayak, your journey. Why do you want to go to Harvard? What value you can add? What value can Harvard give you? I think a lot of the times we don't think about what value can I add to the school, what perspective can I bring to the classroom which every other student would value. So you really need to highlight your experiences. It could be your personal experiences, it could be your professional experiences. I think Vinayak, the other thing I would say that जो level of risk होता है that might differ for people. I think मेरे लिए I also had the safety net of IIT and Harvard that if things don't go as per the plan, I'm not saying that I have a plan B, but then of course these brands also provide you a safety net which might not be available, which might not be there for other people. But I think the other thing which I would again highlight, Vinayak, that risk level सबका अलग होगा. Of course, I had the safety net because of the tags of IIT and Harvard. बाकी लोगों के लिए शायद ये tags ना हो, तो risk थोड़ा ज़्यादा होगा. Irrespective, whatever the risk is, I think it's worth taking the plunge. It's worth taking the risk.
So, I completely agree because as a fellow entrepreneur, I really can't not resonate more than this. But थोड़ा सा इसमें अभी deep जाएंगे, ठीक है? One of the largest challenges that is there in an entrepreneurship, which a lot of people talk about, and the idea again is for people to take back from this podcast a lot of knowledge, a lot of clarity of thought to say कि यार अगर हमें ये करना है, क्यों करना है, किस लिए करना है, उसमें हम क्या फायदे हैं, क्या नुकसान है, किस थॉट प्रोसेस के हिसाब से उसको हम डील कर सकते हैं. So one of the issues that a lot of people talk about and got two schools of thoughts. I've spoken about this earlier. In fact, मेरा एक फायदा जो है ना Ahana of advising so many people has shown so many types of different flavors, right? There's a combination of a thought process of saying solo founder is good enough, a thought process of saying co-founder is good enough, a thought process saying 2 as a number may be perfect for VCs to hear, 3 is a crowd, 1 may be too risky. There are people who actually have 6, 7, 8 co-founders and the question is like भगवान जाने तुम लोग कर कैसे रहे हो. So a lot of people, a lot of our viewers would be in that mindset to say यार ये concept of entrepreneurship जब दिमाग में आता है, and I keep saying this, I've said this so many times, यार entrepreneurship is like a सुलेमानी कीड़ा, है तो सोने नहीं देगा, नहीं है तो जागने नहीं देगा. लेकिन जब ये कीड़ा आ जाता है, जब आपको कुछ खुद का करना होता है, what is the thought that you would have in terms of the ability to build? Does it actually impact when you say that you're building something alone as a solo founder? Do you otherwise believe कि नहीं यार combination होता है तो शायद जगदोजहद में that division of responsibility, that division of verticals, थोड़ा बहुत आज fight आप मार रहे हो, थोड़ा बहुत fight शायद co-founders मार रहे हैं, and it all calibrates into an equals playing field? Or is it to say that यार मतलब मेरा जो vision है, मेरा ही vision है, people will not be able to, perhaps they can align to the vision, but they'll not be able to have the same vision and the same acceleration, and therefore a lot of times perhaps it's best that I fight that battle. So these are the schools of thoughts, but thoda sa take us through what you have learned in your journey for the benefit of our viewers. What are the pros, the cons of having either of these as maybe the way to approach entrepreneurship? Should it be done alone? Should it be done together? Should it be done about identifying the right person? More importantly, if it is about the right person, how on earth do you identify? What are those parameters?
Yeah, so firstly, if you want to start building something, I know a lot of people wait to find a co-founder before they could start. And I think you should not think about it. अगर आपको लगता है कि you want to start, just start. And it's about building a team. And a lot of the times we think about founder as a person, but founder is a mindset. And I truly believe that if you have a very strong founding team and they bring complementary skill sets, that's the best way to think about it. आप ये सोच सकते हैं कि you are good at this and this is A, B and C which are lacking. If you feel that there is a person who could be a partner on this mission and could be a co-founder, that's amazing. If you think that you can't trust the person, you're not 100% sure, don't enter into that bad marriage. In that try and build a founding team, and of course a lot of times you can also elevate people later on as your co-founders, but try and build that team where every person thinks like, this is my company, I have an equity in the organization, and they have the founder mindset. So focus on the founder mindset, bring people who have complementary skill sets, think of it as a team versus just one person who can just solve all your problems.
True. इसको थोड़ा granular जाते हैं. When you talk about that mindset, what you're trying to say, Ahana, is about the essence of stakeholders.
Yeah.
कि भाई एक stakeholder की तरह feel करो. Believe that it's also your company. Believe that it's a part of a company that you're building.
Yeah.
Because L1s जो है, and L1s for the benefit of our viewers is the next level of leadership. For them to have that accountability, for them to have that ownership, perhaps is the first task to know that इसको हम आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं. But there are two thoughts again, right? कि यार जब आप कुछ बना रहे हो, आपको पता है उसका पेन क्या है. No matter what the L1 may feel aligned to, at the end of the day, there's an essence of pagar, there's an essence of safety net, there's an essence of, it's a job. How do you break that mindset and bring accountability? अगर आपको आज पूछा जाए कि यार, what is the best way of going across and making people not just aligned to your vision as a founder, but also to say कि long term में these are the people that will look at perhaps, and I don't want to use the word pseudo founder, Ahana, but maybe the next level of founder team as you're calling it. How does one bring in that accountability? It's so easy to say, it's so difficult to do. I don't want to go into structures and all of that. वो सब बहुत सारे हैं, MSOPs, ESOPs, 50 चीजें हम बात कर सकते हैं. But पहले you said something beautiful. You said about the founder mindset. How does the founder mindset extract and trickle down to L1? And how does a founder ensure that accountability can be spread out? Talk a bit about that.
I think the most important thing is hiring the right people. I think अगर आप सही लोगों को अपने मिशन से एसोसिएट करते हैं, and if they are very passionate about solving the problem, and they will bring that founder mindset to the scope of work that they have. And I can say that there are a lot of amazing people out there who want to do amazing work, and title designation से फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता है. मुझे लगता है कि चाहे आप एक स्टार्टअप में हैं, चाहे आप एक कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में हैं, यू शुड रियली फोकस ऑन कि मुझे किस तरह का काम करना है और मेरे काम के बीच में कोई नहीं आ सकता. इफ़ दैट इज़ द माइंड सेट, एंड इफ़ यू कैन गेट सच पीपल कि भाई मेरे काम के बीच में कोई नहीं आएगा, even a founder can't come, this is my work and I can make it happen. I think that's the founder mindset. You will not give up, you will make sure you will figure it out. And ज़रूरी नहीं है कि वो L1 में ही हो विनायक. मैंने देखा है कि the most junior people can also bring that mindset, and when you have that army of people, that is a great team that you can really go behind. And उसका सबसे important recipe होता है culture. And I know culture is the most abused word. Or
overrated at times.
सबसे ज़्यादा. But and culture is not what I'm gonna sit here say कि हमारे 5 values हैं. Culture is what every person at Open Secret would say when no one is watching them. And if the culture is about no hierarchy, empowering people, celebrating the outputs, you can actually build that mindset and build that passion and fuel कि भाई करना है. And when it trickles down to every single person in that organization, I think that's very powerful, especially in an early stage where they're only like less than 100 people or less than 50 people. Yeah. If all of you can come together and fight that battle rather than 1 or 2 people fighting that battle, I think it just becomes a completely different army. And I do believe that rather than focusing on just the founding, focus on the army. How can you have that army? How can you have that every single person who wants to win? You need to have that winning mindset, and every single person needs to have the winning mindset. And like, for example, yesterday, it's Saturday night, right? In my supply chain team, people were like, हमने रात के 2 बजे दिवाली का ऑर्डर है, निकालना था, चाहे 2 बजे या रात के 3 बजे. I would say, production वाले लोग, supply वाले लोग, but they had that mindset कि बस निकालना है क्योंकि customer ने मांगा है. This is founder mindset. And if you can have such people who have the same determination to serve the customer like you do, you are golden. So focus on that army. Of course, if you can find partners, that's amazing. If you don't find that partners, just don't get into a bad marriage. I think having the wrong partner is worse than having no partner.
I agree. In fact, it can take you 10 steps back.
Yeah.
So I so resonate because culture का एक और चीज जो होता है ना, it trickles from the top, Ahana.
Yeah.
And I actually use an alternative word. I use the word called DNA. Culture जो है ना आपके DNA में है. And DNA of an individual is what matters the most when you're looking at fitment, when you're looking at hiring. For us at Vertices, when we do the hiring, and कुछ देर पहले ना आपने एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ बोला था कि 200%, you have to give your 200%. So हम ना एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग सा चीज़ करते हैं, and especially when there are some levels at where I am directly involved with the hiring. Thankfully now the team has grown, the firm is pretty large, so a lot of SOPs have come into place, a lot of verticals and vertical heads have come into place. But when I get involved in the hiring, I ask this question to a lot of people. I say that कि suppose करो आप यहाँ हो और आपका बुलजाई का टारगेट यहाँ है और आपको एक तीर और धनुष दिया जाता है, राइट? यू हैव द बो एंड द एरो, यू हैव द बुलजाई. दिस इज वेयर यू आर स्टैंडिंग, दिस इज वेयर द बुलजाई इज. यू आर नॉट सपोज्ड टू एम एट द बुलजाई. वेयर विल यू एम? व्हाट्स योर आंसर? You are standing here, you have the bow and the arrow. This is where the bullseye is. You have to hit the bullseye. Where will you aim?
You will try and hit the bullseye.
So 99% of the people, Ahana, say this, that you have to hit the bullseye. But what people don't realize is between here and here, there's a concept called gravity. And if you aim at the bullseye, the gravity will pull the arrow down. And that gravity is life. Life brings you down. So you have to always aim at 20% higher.
Okay, from
so
that.
the arrow has to always be higher, so that even when gravity pulls you down, you have to hit the bullseye. So when you said about the 200%, I resonated so much about it because हमारे लिए hiring में one of the biggest thing was कि are people coming in with the thought process to say, as an associate you're functioning like a senior associate, as a senior associate you're functioning like a associate partner, as an associate partner you're functioning like a senior partner. So no matter what the gravity of life brings you down, you will recalibrate and always be on target. So that becomes a very important element. But
मैं तो 24 में रहती हूँ मतलब.
Then why do you even have an AC bill? You might as well just keep a fan on. I want to now deep down a bit on hiring. Most founders का सबसे बड़ा अगर आप चैलेंज पूछो उनको, if you ask them, and I've spoken to so many founders and I've said, what's the biggest problem that you have faced? And it's not about just building the business, it's not about crisis management, it's not about fighting the fires, it's not about, summating all the rayata that fell out. They all come back and say, yeah, the hiring and the right hiring kills us because it's so difficult to get that fitment. A lot of people today in the, in our amidst our viewers would either be in two categories. One, young founders trying to hire the right team, or people who want to join the right team. So अगर हम दोनों तरफ से देखें, the idea is to say what the fitment is. If you have to give some advice in terms of hiring, both you have hired now quite a few people. I've seen how Open Secret has grown. A, from the perspective of a hirer, and B, because you have hired so many wonderful people, if you give a little bit of perspective from what they need to see when they join an organization. And I don't want to just attach it to say कि यार आज कोई अगर Open Secret join करना चाहता है तो क्या सोच रहा है?
Yeah.
That of course is there. But अगर कोई एक अच्छा company, एक अच्छा founder, एक अच्छा dream, एक अच्छा vision को join करना चाहता है, what are the do's and the don'ts? What are the red flags versus the not so red flags in terms of hiring as a hirer versus a person who's an applicant or a candidate?
Yeah, I think there are two things. I think two advice जो मुझे आज भी याद है. सबसे important चीज़ था hire A team, and that's extremely important.
What is an A team?
A team is hire the best, because when you hire L1, which is an A team, they're gonna hire the best team under them, and then they're gonna hire a best team under them. When you hire,
I want to go a little more deeper into this. Beautiful point. You're building a startup, not you, as in any startup founder. You're building a startup, limited resources, limited cash, limited runway, lots of challenges. How do you ensure that the A team can come in? What is those aspects that tells an A team, because the A team is, as you said, perhaps cocooned into safety net, best of the best jobs. वो बंदा या बंदी वो छोड़ के to join a crazy founder with a crazy dream to change the world, वो कैसे होता है?
You never join a firm because of the present. You join a firm because of the future that you want to co-create. And as a founder, you need to be able to tell that story. You have to be the best salesperson, and people can visualize the future that you want to build. Always sell the future, whether it's to an investor, to your future employees. And people want to join the future. And people want to join the movement. We are in this unjunking movement, and people want to be a part of it because it's much bigger than any of us. That's number one. Number two, ये जो चीज़ें होती है ना, लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेज, लिमिटेड कैश, ये एक्सक्यूजेज हैं. मुझे लगता है कि इफ़ यू आर अ फाउंडर, यू रियली नीड टू चेंज एंड मेक क्राइसिस एन अपॉर्चुनिटी. इसके बावजूद
dwell a little deeper into this. Give an example. How did you convert a crisis into an opportunity?
Despite of limited resources, there are multiple ways you can figure out a creative solution to bring an amazing person into your company.
Did you do something like that?
So lot of the times, and I think अगर हम एक tactical solutions में जाना है, it could be very less fixed but very high variable, because if the company does well, आपको बहुत ज़्यादा
so skin in the game with the growth of the company.
So that could be one thing. Second, it could be equity, and everyone knows now कि wealth creation happens
only through equity.
That is number two. Number three, you tell them the 5 years down the line, if they stay in the company they are currently, तब आपका कैश फ्लो कैसे दिखेगा. अभी आप एक साल मत देखिए, हैव दैट लॉन्ग टर्म विजन. और जब आप लॉन्ग टर्म विजन में फाइनेंशियली, पर्सनल लर्निंग, प्रोफेशनल लर्निंग, सब चीज़ें देखेंगे, द ROI will be much better if you join the organization. So these are some of the tactical things that you can do. But the most important thing is to sell the future, the mission, all of that.
And a founder has to be a salesperson throughout,
every
day in,
single
day
day.
out.
Every single day, yeah. So the most important thing I truly believe is you cannot compromise, and you should not compromise on the quality of the talent. And a lot of time people are like, ये थोड़ा महंगा है. The opportunity cost of not hiring the best talent is so much
more.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful, because you're talking about time value of money, and a lot of people don't understand the time value of money. मुझे इसलिए और हंसी आ रही है because amongst my co-founders, the fourth co-founder who became a co-founder and joined us about 3.5-4 years later, तो मुझे 3.5-4 साल लगा to sell and seduce him to come and join us a part and build the journey. So I understand the value of selling, right? Because हमें हर दिन बेचना होता है. Whether it's the vision, whether it's the mission, whether it's what we are trying to build, whether it's what we are trying to achieve. One of the most important thing, guys, that you have to understand, and what Ahana is outlining very clearly, as founders, as entrepreneurs, every day you have to sell, every day you have to pitch, every day you have to close. The sales, the pitching and the closing, that all of that together builds and perhaps synopsizes a founder's life. I think that's one of the most important aspects.
And the other thing which I would add, it's very easy to sell. I won't say easy, let me take it back. It's more convenient when you're on a high, when you're winning. Imagine you have heard 10 rejections in a day.
Yeah.
You're feeling the lowest of the lows. And then you have to go and sell again. That this is the best. This is going to be the winner. And I think that is the kind of self-belief and conviction you need to have. It's not just about selling. It's about believing that you are the best when everyone in the world has rejected you, and still having that confidence.
And that, I think, is also baptism by fire, right? Because that makes and creates your character. That shows how strong you are. A lot of people don't know, and I'm just going to quickly touch about it because I have the privilege of knowing a lot of your personal side as well. But one of the most toughest moments for you was when you dealt with a personal loss, and then the next day you had to go across and make a pitch, and you had to do that, right? And you had to go across and build it for the larger vision and the larger story.
Yeah.
And the larger aspect of the company. Maybe you want to quickly touch about that, because why I'm talking about it also, Ahana, is because that shows the power and that shows the importance that a founder gives to what the founder is creating. And a lot of our young viewers will draw a lot of inspiration to say कि चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए ज़िंदगी में, चाहे जितना भी सैलाब आ जाए ज़िंदगी में, अगर आप एक जर्नी में हो, अगर आप कुछ बनाने का कोशिश कर रहे हो, then that has perhaps the most and the largest priority in your life, irrespective of how many situations can pull you down. So we want to quickly talk about that also.
Yeah, I mean, as I was mentioning earlier, जो लोग बोलते हैं ना roller coaster है and highs and lows, and I think I am very prepared for the low. But that phase was such a dark phase of my life. I could not have imagined, and this was the loss of my mother. And my mother has played such a significant role in my life from the beginning. And I still remember जब मैंने company start किया था, private limited company के लिए आपको 2 directors चाहिए होते हैं और एक paid up capital चाहिए होता है. So my mother was the second director. She actually gave the paid up capital because she wanted to. She was very proud of me. I started when I was about 30 and lot of people were asking me कि अरे तो शादी कर लो फिर settle हो जाना. She was like, no, live your dream. If you want to start a company, start it. And her strength was my strength.
Yeah.
And I will always call her in my lowest phases, and she was my biggest cheerleader. वो मुझे बोलती थी तू मेरा बहादुर बच्चा है. And whenever I know वो सिर्फ मुझे समझाने के लिए बोल रही है, but those words gave me so much strength.
Yeah.
So जब भी entrepreneurship में एक समय आता था जहाँ पे आप डाउट करते थे, her words used to inspire me a lot. But during wave 2, when I lost her, and I remember, I did her cremation.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was COVID wave 2, तो कोई और नहीं था, सिर्फ मैं और वो थे. और अगले दिन मेरा एक pitch था, and of course we needed funds. And I was feeling the most broken. I did not feel that I had any strength to go and have a conversation.
Yeah.
But then I thought about it, what would have she wanted? And I realized कि मैं open secret बना रही थी because मेरी mother है, she was feeling very proud of me, I was creating an impact. But I thought, there's so many, millions of mothers out there.
Correct.
I should use this pain, channel this grief to build this brand now for all the millions of mothers who want to feed better for the families. And I had 2 paths ahead of me. A, I can take a pause and grieve. And second was, I use all this pain and just give it my 200%. So the next day, the immediate next day, I went to that room with the same determination that I really need to build this for every mother of this country. And I think that in life, the setbacks, they don't define you. What defines you is how you react to it.
Yeah.
And life is so unpredictable. You cannot be prepared, but you have to accept the losses. You really need to learn to live with the pain. And I don't think that pain can go away. Every single day, you feel that gap, you feel that void. But what stays with me is the unconditional love and faith that she had in me. And I really want to shine so bright that she can see up from the sky.
Of course. And I think the biggest learning that a lot of our viewers will have is that adversity, personal or otherwise, could be a lead sinker for you, or perhaps could be your largest catalyst. And it takes a lot of heart, it takes a lot of mental calibration, it takes a lot of personal resurgence to try and create a personal adversity into something of strength, into something like a catalyst. It's very, very difficult. It's not easy, and that's something I think a lot of our viewers should learn from you. Now, in this na, I want to link 2 things, because एक ना आपने इसमें pitch के बारे में बात किया. This brings a very important facet. आजकल के नए ज़माने के business में a lot of new businesses are built with the aspect that capital raising is a very, very important element. Again, why? Because what are we doing? We are fighting with the large boys. We are trying to create a foothold. We are trying to create that little bit of position with, again, as I said, limited resources, limited vintage, limited time. So the only way to go across and build that is through capital raise. Now, when it comes to a lot of our viewers, they might be in the journey कि उनको शायद लग रहा होगा कि यार ये कैपिटल रेस करना चाहिए, नहीं करना चाहिए, किसके साथ करना चाहिए, किस टाइप के इन्वेस्टर के साथ करना चाहिए. You've gone through 3 rounds now, Ahana, and I've been very fortunate to witness all of them with you. And you have different types of investors, very marquee names, but very different DNAs of those investors. One of the things which I want to go a little more deep into, which a lot of people don't really understand the emphasis of, is the power of tangible capital versus intangible capital. Tangible is very easy आना कि यार चेक लिख दिया, बंदे ने पैसे डाल दिए, आपके पास पैसे आ गए. और दूसरा हुआ कि it's not just the check. It is thousands of other things beyond the check, which is the intangible capital, which might be the next level of catalyst.
Yeah.
इसमें भी दो interesting observations है Hana. And again, my advantage is where I've spoken to clients and who are friends who are right from early stage to all the way up to an IPO stage, and they've seen all the world, right? So इसमें भी लोगों का बहुत interesting पहलू आया कि need of intangible versus need of tangible is maybe directly proportionate to vintage. आप जितना बढ़ते जाते हो intangible का value उतना बढ़ता जाता है. आप जितने initial journey में होते हो, tangible is what matters. Intangible versus interference, कि भाई आपको कितना चाहिए versus कितना direction आ रहा है. Lot of interesting facets come in. Or a lot of our viewers who want to understand ये होता क्या है. What is tangible versus intangible? How do I choose the right partner? And investors also like if I have to look at it now, Ahana, शादी और partner, co-founder and the investor, मैं तीनों को एक bracket में रखता हूँ. Because it's always about the right person. It's about the right entity, the right institution. It's never about the right time. So थोड़ा सा इस पे deep जाते हैं. How does, and for the benefit of our viewers, how does one understand the nature of what kind of investor should come on the cap table? How do you choose your investor? And what's the value of intangible capital?
I think capital is definitely, it used to be a commodity, at least in the zero interest free world. So it has to be more than just capital. And the reason I say this, because funding and fundraise is not a milestone.
Bilkul.
It's something that you do. I think the milestone is what the business accomplished.
Absolutely. In fact, the exit is the milestone in my mind.
Exactly. तो आपकी journey तो वहाँ से start होती है. So you really need to get a partner who can really help you on this journey, who can understand what the end goal is. And मुझे लगता है कि दो चीज़ें जो बहुत important है. A, you really need to tell the right story. Sometimes I've seen that founders will say something because that's what the investors want to hear. आप उस टाइम पे कर लोगे बट बाकी जाके बाद में फिर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट आएगा. So it's extremely important that the way you want to build the organization, where you see the organization should be, it has to be perfectly aligned with the thesis of the investor. Otherwise, every board meeting there is going to be a conflict, and you don't want to.
You don't want that conflict.
You don't want that. So A, when you are thinking about bringing someone on the cap table, it has to be a union of where you want the company to go, because they are also co-owners of the organization, and all of us should be aligned. Otherwise, a lot of energy will go into aligning what you truly want to build. So that has to be,
or just fighting off resistance unnecessarily.
Exactly, that वो होना चाहिए. दूसरा, lot of investors, they do due diligence on founders. You have to do the same thing for investors.
थोड़ा इस पे deep जाओ. What do you mean by due diligence on an investor? Sounds fancy, but let's understand what that means.
I think due diligence होता है कि आप पूछोगे बाकी founders से that how was the relationship with the investor, especially during tough times. During tough times is when the real character
and the real color shows up.
Exactly.
So when you say baki founders, maybe you want to explain to our viewers, you're talking about portfolios of that particular investor.
Yes. So for example, let's say there is an investor A. That A would have invested in multiple companies, that 25 companies. So talk to the founders of those 25 companies, how the relationship has been. Definitely ask them when there was disagreement, how did you solve it? When there was a tough time, did they really think from your point of view? So I think these are some of the questions that you need to answer.
And you'll be surprised a lot of times what actually founders have to say, because as you said, difficult times where the true colors show up.
Exactly. I think that's extremely important. I think उगते हुए सूरज को सब नमस्कार करते हैं. It's only during the difficult times that you know who's your true friend. So that's very very important. And दूसरा मुझे लगता है कि अपने बोर्ड को leverage करना. Board, so जो भी investor आता है, typically they get a board seat as well. It's the responsibility of the founder on how you want to leverage the board, how you want to leverage the board members. Sometimes I have seen a lot of people saying that, investors don't play a big enough role, but I think it's on you. You can't
go a little granular. When you say leverage a board for our viewers, Go a little granular to say that what do you mean by leverage? Is it about the connects? Is it about the doors that they open? Is it about the advice that they give? It is about the shoulder that they provide when things are going completely haywire? Let's go a little granular in that.
So I'll give an example from my own journey.
Yeah.
You know, Matrix came on day one, and Avnish Bajaj, who's a managing director and founder at Matrix, he has been a big mentor from day one. And whenever I'm hiring a critical resource to Open Secret, I will always ensure that person talks to Avnish. I think Avnish understands the kind of founder I am, what I want to build, and he will actually give me pretty
Actual
honest,
feedback.
brutal feedback whether the person is right for the company or not.
And Avnish is known to be very honest.
And I think building an organization, his point of view is something which I really value. The other investor I have, they are experts in consumer. So whenever I need to think about how to build offline, I will go to them. So you really need to understand कि आपके जो investors हैं, how can they help you, which areas, इस एरिया में मुझे इनके पास जाना है, इस एरिया में मुझे उनके पास जाना है. I think you need to be very clear about that. And then in the end, lot of people will give you recommendations, but as a founder, you need to have your own voice.
So in fact, you know, a very dear friend of mine, a couple of earlier episodes had mentioned this, Ankur, कि सुनो सबकी, but करो अपनी. Because as a founder, आपको हर तरीके से advice लेना पड़ेगा, हर तरीके से लोगों के बारे में सुनना पड़ेगा, लोगों के thoughts सुनने पड़ेंगे, process करने पड़ेंगे. But what's important is that you have to do what you think is right, what you think is correct for your business. And I think that's something which is so true, right? Because again, investors will have their own thought processes. Situations will have their own thought processes. Sectors will have their own thought processes, basis tailwinds or headwinds. But you have to curate and you have to build on your own. That's what I think is the biggest takeaway. And that's why, to my mind, intangible capital is extremely important. But it's also important for you to filter out at times what that intangible element that comes across.
Yeah.
So that's where I look at it. एक बड़ा interesting topic आजकल trend में आया है. It's a little scandalous. So I want to ask you a little question on that, right? A lot of people have said, and I know you've been very fortunate, but the reason I ask this is not because it's just your journey, Ahana. You're representative of a clan of founders, right? And therefore the founder perspective is what I am interested in. पर आजकल एक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग सा टॉपिक जो मतलब थोड़ा सा ट्रेंड में है is a lot of investors who are advising founders are supposedly not capable of advising founders. Perhaps because they've never built a business, perhaps because they've never gone through the same trials, the same tribulations, the same pains, and perhaps because most of the advice that's coming is coming basis Excel sheets and paper plans and business plans, and not like really building the business. So take us through a bit in terms of this. The reason I ask this is because a lot of our viewers may have the option to look at, and I am linking this with a very interesting concept, right? I'm linking this with the concept of mentors. So a lot of people will have the option of meeting investors who perhaps have not built the business, but still are doing the job of an investor basis Excel sheets, business plans, and various other mathematically derived statements. And then there are some who have turned into an investor after having built a journey, after having gone through that entire curve, become an in-house entrepreneur in an investor's cohort of operating partners. Do you think, therefore, if a choice comes in for mentors to be built, first of all, link this to say that, is this true, the statement that is being talked about a lot today in the market? Do you think that there is a lot of depth in it, or do you think it's more of a flavor of the season conversation? Second, when you link it to mentors, what exactly are mentors, number one? And number two, if you have to look out at mentors, do you believe that it should be people who have gone through similar life cycles, similar fires, similar pains, similar baptisms to be able to actually bring in a lot of value and add value in a founder's life? What's your take on these two things?
I think personally, I don't think that they don't add value. And I'm just saying based on my personal experiences, I have, and I'm not just talking about VCs, but even like angel investors, I think they have given me recommendations. Firstly, I would say very fortunate that they never asked me कि आपको यही करना और आप ऐसे ही करें. They gave me recommendation, and I think it depends on the founder then whether you want to do it or not. बट मुझे लगता है कि हमें ना एक स्टेप पीछे लेना चाहिए। और कभी कभार हम गलती ये करते हैं कि पहले हम समझते हैं कि इन्वेस्टर का रोल क्या है। इन्वेस्टर का रोल है टू गिव यू a recommendation based on what they have seen in the external world, what is happening, and these are principles, and then you need to translate those principles into what should be your company strategies. For example, they would say that, you know, this is the time where everyone is talking about you have to be profitable, and they will say, Ahana, people are only valuing companies which are profitable because they have seen what is happening in the external world. Now, how to make the company profitable, what channels do I need to grow, that's my decision. But getting that guidance from them that, you know, we really, if we are a high burn business, we really need to change that. We really need to become profitable. And I think those insights is the responsibility of the investor. I don't think the responsibility of the investor is to become an operator and start running the company for you. And कभी कभार जो एडवाइस होती है वो हम एग्जैक्ट एडवाइस ले लेते हैं, हम प्रिंसिपल नहीं समझते हैं. सो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड द प्रिंसिपल बिहाइंड द एडवाइस, बिकॉज वो बहुत सारी कंपनी साथ में देखते हैं. जो पर्सनल केयर के लिए वर्क करेगा, जो फूड के लिए वर्क करेगा, जो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स के लिए वर्क करेगा, विद इन कंज्यूमर the strategy will be very different, even though the principle could remain the same. How a personal care would become profitable might be very different how a food company can become profitable, and that depends on the operator because you know your business in and out. So as a founder, I truly believe that be humble and try and extract the value as much as you can. I hope they have given you that freedom to operate, to build strategy that's best for the business. They trust you for that as an operator. So that's the only comment I have. But at the same time, I've also heard where sometimes, you know, you are forced into a corner, but personally I've not experienced any of that.
Fortunate enough.
Yeah.
Now link it to mentors. The second question that I had was about, यार ये mentorship जो है वो भी काफ़ी हवा वाला है. आज के डेट पे हमने बहुत लोगों को सुन लिया कि वो mentors हैं. And mentorship has also become a profession. I know a lot of people who claim to be mentors without actually having built something, but they're still giving gyan. So, and you are a seasoned founder. बहुत सारे हमारे दर्शक होंगे जो इस जर्नी में शुरुआत में.
Yeah.
And mentorship can become that wow factor.
Yeah.
That awe-inspiring factor.
Yeah.
And बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं जो बोलते हैं कि भाई हम तो दुनिया को मतलब घुमा के लेके आके आपको mentorship दे रहे हैं.
Yeah.
आप हमारे mentee हो. When someone has to truly test the litmus and say कि यार if there is a mentor that I need to treat, or if I need to treat X, Y, Z as mentor, वो parameters क्या होने चाहिए? And this is two-step question, Ahana. One maybe for you as Ahana personally what mentorship is, and second as Ahana the founder for advice in terms of the founder ecosystem. ये mentorship होता क्या है और कैसे इंसान को आपको mentor बनाना चाहिए? Because market में बहुत mentors available है for various returns that they claim and ask for. So tell us a bit about mentorship. Tell us a bit about how do you value the word? How do you value that person?
So I think पहली बात तो मुझे लगता है मेंटर बहुत ही हैवी वर्ड है. एज अ फाउंडर व्हाट आई फील, कोई भी ब्रांड अगर बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहा है, आई विल पिक अप द फोन, आई विल रीच आउट टू द फाउंडर, मैं बोलूँगी कि आपने कैसे किया, मुझे बताइए. आई थिंक यू रियली नीड टू हैव दैट humble approach towards life and that learning approach that you want to learn from everyone. You don't need someone senior जो आपका mentor है. आपके peer से आप सीख सकते हैं, आपके junior से आप सीख सकते हैं. Honestly, I feel I learn a lot from my team members because I've become a better leader. They have given me the feedback. So mentorship, that structure, वो आप सब भूल जाइए. You need to have that learning mindset. जो भी आपको लगता है कि they have done something which you can admire, just go and talk to them and learn from them. And I do feel that both professionally and personally, I've become a better person, not because I have assigned mentors, but I've reached out to people wherever I found value. I think दूसरा, investors also, you should have that kind of a relationship that they really mentor you. I think it should not be just a tactical or financial relationship. You should reach out for support and you should reach out for advice, but the ownership is on you. Sometimes I have seen founders think कि investors को वो report करते हैं. That relationship needs to be very, very clear. Yeah. You are not reporting to your investors. Investors and you are both on the same side of the table. where everyone wants to see the company to thrive. They have their money invested in us. In fact, they also are responsible to their LPs like we are responsible to our investors. So we are all in the same boat. And I think we really need to understand the rules of the game. The rules of the game that financial upside is linked, but at the same time, you also need to understand it's a lonely journey. There could be n number of mentors, there could be n number of investors. People would want you to succeed, but no one is as invested in that startup as you. Investor has a portfolio of companies. Few will succeed, few will fail. Mentors have their own shit to take care of. This is the only baby that you have. So you really need to take charge. Forget about ये मेरी help नहीं कर रहा है, वो मेरी help नहीं कर रहा है. Don't have that mindset. Think about how you can actually reach out for help, how you can leverage the connection and network that you have, and the accountability is on you. No one else is responsible for your startup survival other than you, and you should not even expect.
You should not even expect is a very, very strong and yet a very true statement. But I also think one of the things that's coming out of what you're saying here is बेहयापन भी बहुत ज़रूरी है, बेशर्मी भी बहुत ज़रूरी है. As a founder, you have to be shameless enough to ask for help.
Yeah.
You have to be behaya enough to go across and knock the door. You have to go across and, if required, keep chasing, keep asking for that time, because कहीं ना कहीं से आपको जब वो value information मिल जाता है ना, for whoever you're chasing,
yeah,
that can change the curve. A lot of young founders perhaps have that little bit of hesitance in their mind to say, "Yaar, should I push the door? Should I put that foot in the door? Should I go across and ask? Will it feel okay if I chase? Will it feel okay if I ask?" I think, and I've heard this from the best of the best guys, that at times that besharmi and that behayapan is what gets you that foot in the door. And after that, it's about how you knock that door off.
Yeah, I would actually say it differently. I would say don't have any ego. And I have seen a lot of people, especially people who come from a pedigree background, they have that ego. And I think you should keep that ego aside. Even if you have
ego
to...
jo hai, wo I think is directly proportionate, Ahana, to pedigree, like you beautifully said. I think a lot of times it's also about self-doubt. It's also about questioning your own self and saying, can I even approach that person?
Yeah.
It may not be ego, Ahana. At times it may be कि यार शायद मेरा औकात ही नहीं है उससे पूछने के लिए.
Yeah, नहीं सही बोल रहा है. I think मुझे लगता है कि जैसे आपको बहुत सिंपल एग्जांपल देती हूँ. अगर आपको किसी को रीच आउट करना है, आप लिंक्डइन पे डायरेक्टली मैसेज डालिए. But then you can't say hi and then leave the message. ये सही hello sir, hello madam. You really need to write the best message which will grab attention. And you really need to solve why that person should help you. तो वो आपको मेहनत करना पड़ेगा. But you can reach out to anyone. And I have seen that people who have that obsession and थोड़ा पागलपन, you will figure out a way.
Yeah, I think पागलपनी जो है एक चीज, that's the only, the differentiator quality जो बोलते हैं ना, I say the differentiator quality in the mindset is also about how much of पागलपन you have, how much of junoon you have in yourself to do things differently. As founders, we have to be mad. We have to be crazy. It's the alter ego that we live in. Ki if you're not crazy, I don't think we'll be able to build. In today's world, everything will pull you down if you don't have that mind. You said something very important while you were talking about the mentorship. You said 2-3 times about the journey of a founder is very lonely.
Yeah.
Hannah, this everyone knows. And no one knows it better than founders who go through their challenges day in, day out. You've had yours, I've had mine. थोड़ा सा इस पे granular जाते हैं. When you have a journey which is so lonely, when you have a journey which is filled with lead sinkers, those lead sinkers could be your very own people, those lead sinkers could be the society, it could be circumstances. When you have a situation of grab baskets where everyone's willing to pull you down, there is also a silver lining where they say that a lot of founders help each other. A lot of founders, when you reach out and talk to each other, are more than willing to go across and help. So थोड़ा सा ना इस पे हम जाते हैं कि, and again, I'm asking all of these so that a lot of our viewers can learn to say that when it feels like you're in the loneliest corner of the room, what does it take for a founder to recalibrate and say कि यार जर्नी तो लोनली है पर फिर भी हम मचाएंगे, फिर भी हम आगे बढ़ेंगे, फिर भी हम उस हिसाब से जाएंगे. इसको दो चीज़ों से कनेक्ट करते हैं आना. टू वेरी ओवररेटेड, overused, maybe at times oversold words. Hustle and जुगाड़. हम हर जगह ये सुनते हैं. हर फाउंडर को हसल करना चाहिए, हर फाउंडर को जुगाड़ आना चाहिए. Hustle is in our blood. As Indians, so much of jugaad is in our blood. Lots of things are told about it. But now hustle, jugaad and loneliness, इन तीनों का हम थोड़ा combination करते हैं. When Ahana was in the darkest corner of her life, personally बोलो या फिर even as a founder बोलो, what is your advice to our viewers? How does one recalibrate that mindset to use that hustle and jugaad as a strength? First of all, what is hustle and jugaad according to you? And second, how do you recalibrate that to get out of that loneliness and say, big deal if you are lonely. The vision, that silver lining in the cloud is what matters. The North Star is what matters. And it's always about the North Star. Tell us a bit about that.
So firstly, I think जब आप एक startup वाला journey में जा रहे हैं, I think you really need to accept that it is going to be a lonely journey. The losses are very personal. The rejections are very personal. And there will be times where you will just hear no's and only no's. And ये ऐसा नहीं है कि only one or two people would experience this. Majority, even the most successful startups, if you hear their founder stories, they would have a near-death experience. Everyone goes through that. And during that experience, the way you react is what resilience is all about. I think if I have to take an example, I was reading about Paytm. There's a report that Paytm could be the most profitable tech company in India. Now imagine when the IPO was happening, everyone was questioning Vijay Shekhar Sharma. I take a lot of inspiration from his solo founder, resilience. Imagine now he's making Paytm as one of the most profitable companies.
Recently published the reports as well.
Exactly.
And he's also on your cap table, which a lot of people don't know.
Yes, and I do feel that what I believe that as a founder you can do during those times, and see, hustle, all of this is like a term. But the point is that you again go so deep and understand what a consumer wants. The only person you should hear during these times is what your consumer is asking. And if you truly solve for that need and you work 16 hours day in and day out, you will see that you will come out of it.
Why 16? Why did you mention 16 hours?
I think you should definitely, like for me, and
nowadays it's very scandalous to mention such hours.
No, I mean, I spoke about a triangle, that in a founder, there are three things that you can, there are three things, right? One is your startup, your work, second is health, and then third is social life. And people say, well, where is family? Family, of course.
I don't think
first.
You have the third one at all.
So that's something, and I truly believe that if you want to excel, you can only pick two. And that's why a lot of people might pick social life and work. I have decided that I want to focus on work and health. I think health has a lot of compounding we don't understand. You really need to invest in yourself. That's the most important investment. That's the most important compounding that you could do. And I'm completely okay in not having any social life.
And physical and mental, both health.
Absolutely. So वो triangle में आप दो ही चीजें choose कर सकते हो. For me, it's my work and it's my health. And then social life, I accept it. And that's why it's very difficult. Like none of my friends understand why I don't take out time, why I'm not traveling for New Year's and traveling to multiple other countries, why I'm not going out and watching movies with them, which is completely fine because you have a completely different journey. You have a completely different mission. You have a completely different passion. And as a founder, you will see suddenly no one understands what you're going through. And that's where mind over matter comes in. That's where resilience comes in. And वो आपको कभी भी externally नहीं मिल सकता. And जब तक आप externally seek करते रहोगे कि नहीं कोई मुझे बताए कि मैं कितना awesome हूँ, मैं कर सकता हूँ, that will not fly. That has to come from within. And that's something which I realized, my mother used to be that person. Whenever I used to feel down, but when now she's not there, I've realized it was always within me. And she used to remind me of the strength that I have within me. And now, when I am going through that phase, I go through that struggle on my own. And the reason I say 16 hours, you definitely need 7 hours of sleep. You definitely need to work out 30 minutes a day. And then, of course, 30 minutes of doing random things. The rest of the time, I'm always on. And I'm always thinking about Open Secret. It might work for someone, it might not work for someone. But I think you need to be confident and you need to be comfortable in your skin. This is who I am. I work 24/7. I'm not ashamed of it. If you are living a 9-to-5 job, that's also amazing. That's awesome. Because
whatever floats one's boat.
Success
is relative.
Is relative, right? I shouldn't judge the person who's working 9-to-5. I shouldn't be judged because I'm working 16 hours a day. It's a choice, and everyone has the right to make the right choice for them.
And also
on that note, I'm also gonna have my focus on my health. Have a high protein snack break.
I love the way you brought in your own Open Secret cookie in this show. But yeah, I understand the leverage that the founder's trying to do. But fair enough. But also a lot of this, Ahana, is transient, right? It's a lot of it evolves in terms of how you're building and where you've reached. I'll give you my personal example. There was a time when I used to work when none of this LinkedIn had become a great platform. It wasn't about being a guru in the social media platforms. It wasn't about talking about how much you worked. But there was a time when I used to work about 18 to 20 hours a day. And I did that for years because that was the norm in our profession. And nobody even gave it a second thought because that's what you were expected to do. Do I still continue to do that today? Answer is not at a regular basis. Answer is that obviously as you grow, you have the ability to take out time for doing several other things. But what I really liked about what you said was about that switching on bit, right? Switching on bit is not necessarily about just work. That switching on bit is about adding value. And that adding value into whatever you're creating can be tangible and intangible. So for me, am I 24/7 switched on other than the time when I'm sleeping? Answer is yes. But is it that I'm again working at that level? Maybe no, because there's a fantastic team that does a lot that they do.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is about investing in the right team, building the right team. Now in this, I'm going to bring a very interesting topic which is close to your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way you mastered it.
Okay.
In a way you're extremely popular because of it. I've heard a lot of people talk about it when it comes to you. A couple of people recently, I think day before yesterday, I was having a chat and someone mentioned you in context of this. It also may be perhaps true that a lot of it is directly proportionate to founders who are in the consumer space, because a lot of consumer space or consumer product is touch and feel. It's directly out in the front, people can see it. They overlap with the brand of the founder, and therefore there's a lot of piggyback that happens. But the reason I'm deep diving into this is because, again, there's a learning that I'm trying to extract for our viewers. You're supposed to be brilliant when it comes to LinkedIn content.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be brilliant in terms of the following that you've gathered there in a very short span of time. A lot of people talk about saying how articulative your content is, how beautifully planned your content is, how the timing, the day, everything at the time that comes. But a lot of people don't know at the back end that I know that a whole bunch of your content is just directly out from your heart. And you've actually not got a ghostwriter. You've not got a content writer. I don't think you can afford to have a content writer yet. So I know that a lot of it comes directly innate of what you feel. Yeah, at times maybe you schedule it at night for it to come out in the morning. At times maybe at 10 o'clock right after your workout you're doing that. I don't know when. But your content is brilliant, right? The reason I'm deep diving into this, tell us about the power of social media for young founders. And how much should one try to leverage? What are the pros? What are the cons? How do you go across and build that so-called following? And does it have a direct impact on business? Parallelly, I also know that you also have a timer app for social media apps on your phone.
Yeah.
Which does not allow you to see beyond X number of minutes in a day. So you manage that discipline, but you also leverage. So take us through the founder's mindset of the power of social media in today's world.
Yeah. I think firstly, the kind of person I am, and this is the principle that I have in life, I never gossip about people. I never crib about something. I always believe ये एक opportunity है, जिसके कुछ pros हैं, इसके कुछ cons हैं. Leverage the pros and fight the cons. हर चीज़ में, चाहे वो लोग हैं, चाहे social media है. I truly believe that social media is very, very powerful. A lot of people have asked me, who's the PR person who's doing the PR for you? Can you recommend? And I want to work with the same person. And I said, I have no PR person. I've never used a PR person. Everything that's all organic. And whatever I write is straight from my heart. There is no person who's helping me write the content. And the reason I started doing that, Vinayak, I do a lot of discussions where I hear questions from the audience, and especially the young girls out there. And then I started getting a lot of messages. I recently wrote about don't get pressurized about getting married. And I can't tell you how many messages of women I got that, Ahana, thank you for speaking up. I have never seen a successful woman talking about not needing a partner. And I feel now someone can understand me. I remember when I posted about the loss of my mother, there's so many people who had lost their parents. They reached out to me and said, thank you so much for sharing. And I've realized this power of community, the power of social media. And what truly works, at least for me, is be authentic. Write straight from my heart. The reason I write in the morning is because I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. 6 to 7 is my workout time. I reach office at 8 a.m. 8 to 8:30, I'll think about it, I'll write, I'll post mostly at 8:30. You can see consistently, it's not planned. This is how just my day goes. And it comes straight from my heart. But the reason I keep doing it regularly is because of those messages that I get on a regular basis. And I do feel that I had a mother. She was a role model in a city like Bharatpur. But imagine there's millions of young girls out there. They might not have that cheerleader in their family. But if they can read that post and can think about a young girl who went from Bharatpur to Bombay to Boston, maybe I can inspire that girl to dream that big. Because when we talk about women empowerment, we talk about like resources and all those things, I think we just need to let them dream. And if they can dream, I can tell you they are so powerful that they will figure out the path. And my hope is I can just keep increasing my circle of influence and I can reach out to all the young girls and boys out there. And hopefully they can see that if I can do something, they can definitely do it too.
तो ये हो गया मिशन स्टेटमेंट. अब थोड़ा और, यू नो मी, आई एम गोइंग टू कीप गेटिंग ग्रैन्युलर. अब थोड़ा और हकीकत में आते हैं. इट्स ऑल्सो बिल्डिंग अ ब्रांड. इट इज गिविंग यू अ लॉट ऑफ डायरेक्ट इन्फ्लुएंस. द रीजन आई से दिस बिकॉज कुछ चीज शुरू होता है मिशन से, बट देन इट ऑल्सो बिकम्स प्रिटी लार्ज. लॉट ऑफ पीपल डोंट अंडरस्टैंड द वैल्यू ऑफ building something and ensuring that there is perfect alignment to creating a business versus at times getting lost in that glamour. It's very easy to get lost in the glamour. Hakikat ye hai, when you have that fan following, when you have so many people liking posts, when you have so many people going up and sharing a post, it is a feel good factor. Any human being will feel good about the fact कि यार यार चलो मेरे पास इतने followers हैं. If someone says that, I believe that's a lie, बोलते नहीं यार हम तो साधु हैं, हमें फर्क नहीं पड़ता. A lot of people will talk about it. I'll be very candid, right? Why am I doing this? I'm doing this for a lot of giving back to the ecosystem. There's no doubt about it. But does that have a direct benefit to me? Of course it does. And I'm not ashamed to say that. It creates a lot of penetration in people knowing me personally, other than my founders, friends, other than my clients, other than my investors, other than people who know me so well, right? All of it has a multiplier effect. Fact is also to own that up. The challenge, what happens, Ahana, and this is where I want to extract the second bit out. One part was beautiful about the mission. The second part is when it becomes more larger than you expected it to be. How does a founder keep hubris away? How does a founder stay grounded? How does a founder say, नहीं यार ये सब तो ठीक है, but शायद ये हकीकत नहीं है. I still need to be focused on my mission, even though 10 people can come and ask me for a selfie. So how do you manage hubris? How do you stay grounded?
I think what entrepreneurship has taught me is not get affected. जब तालियां बज रही है, when there is applause, you need to understand that there is a low which is soon going to hit you. And when you are during the lowest phase, you also know that you have the strength to go up again. तो मुझे लगता है कि
with a pinch of salt, is
हाँ,
it?
मुझे लग रहा है कि इतने rejections मिलते हैं, the cumulative rejections in the life of a founder, that it gives you lifelong humble रहने की recipe.
I think you're being too kind. You're just being, because again, where you've achieved and what you've achieved is very easy to say that. But tell me again, if you're to advise young founders today, what's the power of social media? Do you think that they should invest in it in terms of their authenticity, in terms of their stories, in terms of, shouting out what they believe in?
Absolutely. I think if you have a point of view and it's your point of view, I think you should always tell your authentic story. मुझे लगता है storytelling is the most powerful tool in today's world. Stories can move mountains.
I agree.
And you have been given a platform. Leverage it. And the only advice would be just be authentic. Don't do it because somebody else is doing it. Don't try and copy paste it. I've seen a lot of people copy pasting my entire post and then writing it.
ऐसा भी होता है?
हाँ, ये सब भी होता है.
So that means you've arrived.
No, but I'm saying that I think just do it for the right reasons. अगर आप वो गीता में है ना, कर्म करते जाओ, फल की इच्छा मत करो. I think it's true. As founders, whatever you do, focus on the inputs. Output will follow.
I think you're just being too nice and too kind because you've reached where you reached, and of course it takes a lot of validation in terms of being able to build what you've built. But पता है क्या होता है कि founder ना बहुत सारे चीज़ जो लिखता है या लिखती है, they write it also in terms of what their thought is. But a lot of times, a lot of founders also don't express, and yet are fantastic founders because for them, I think they believe in a beautiful philosophy. And I like to share a lot of my philosophy in the form of शायरी. So इरशाद फरमाओ तो एक शायरी सुनाऊंगा, एक शेर सुनाऊंगा आपको on this context of what a lot of founders don't express.
Please, Vinayak, Irshad.
क्या बात है, please Irshad. This is a very interesting construct, but it says in this manner: कुछ दर्द बस दिल में रह जाते हैं, कुछ दर्द बस दिल में रह जाते हैं, दुनिया को क्या इल्म हम क्या क्या सह जाते हैं. So a lot of founders hide their pain, hide their tribulations, hide their angst, hide their situations, and they just have that smile on the face. Like a lot of times, a beautiful smile that you have on your face, but behind that muskurahat, there's a whole jagdojay, there's a whole situation of tears, joys, tribulations, pain, which at times can't be expressed in social media and perhaps should not be expressed in social media. So yes, I think it's a great tool, but a lot of people also believe in just building without talking about it.
And there's nothing wrong
There's
in
nothing
that.
wrong or right in that.
Like
There's nothing wrong.
Falguni,
Yeah.
Naika, right? I think she has a very different way of building Naika. Someone, maybe there is Kunal Shah,
Yeah.
who talks about philosophy. I think every founder has
their
a personality, but what is true is they are the authentic version of
True.
themselves. I think that's what you should do.
I think the biggest learning for me now, Ahana, in this beautiful journey of creating the first season of Lifeboat, I've come across so many people who never would speak about themselves, who never would shout out about themselves, but have come and spoken in my show and have bared their heart out. And there's so much that I've learned, and more importantly, there's so much that I've unlearned. So this brings me to now the latter part of the segment. You're giving me an exasperated look. So we are going to go and hopefully wrap this up soon.
No, my cookie, and I'm again making like a shameless plug, has given me a lot of energy.
I'm sure it has. I love the way you plugged it. And I love the way now how that packet has suddenly stood up in front of the camera to show the brand along with the picture. But okay, that's the hustle. That's the hustle of a founder. So I don't blame you. And be my guest. All my founders have my heart. But bringing us to a very interesting segment is the essence of having, or rather the importance of having the right side of, I won't say the right side, sorry. Let me rephrase this question. The importance of having the right set of advisors by your side. Now, a lot of people who are watching this are always in a conundrum to say that what is the role of a true advisor? And when I say advisor, it could be anyone, right? It could be the banker, it could be the lawyer, it could be the chartered accountant, it could be the tax guys. What's the nuance of having the right advisors? How important are they in a founder's life? How important are they in a founder's journey? And a lot of our viewers are also going to be, as I said, young advisors. They could be young lawyers, they could be young chartered accountants, young investment bankers. What does it take, according to you, Ahana, for a relationship which starts maybe transactionally? Because the objective of an advisor and a client is always about that transactional element of getting that task at hand done.
Yeah.
What does it take for a transactional, relationship to evolve into what we have today?
Yeah.
The fact that we're there for each other, we are each other's safety net. The fact that on a Sunday, you've spent 4 hours of your precious time with me. The fact that I can call upon you and you can call upon me. So take us through your mindset about what's the essence of the true advisors? How important is it to have the right set of advisors? And how does an advisor become a friend for life? How does this happen?
Yeah, I think one important thing as a founder which you need to understand, that there are a lot of things that go into building a company which you might not understand. The SHA, the SSA, like the legal documentation, the taxation, the compliance. And शुरू में क्या होता है, आपको लगता है इससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. But again, this is compounding. If you can get it right from the very beginning, it gives a lot of dividends. And I would highly recommend to have, and वहाँ पे मुझे लगता है again, hire the A team. Because it's extremely important to invest from day one, not just कि नहीं जब हमारा third round होगा तब हम करेंगे. It's extremely important to do that from the beginning, because in a startup you never know what kind of phase you will go through, and you are definitely not an expert in all the areas. And I've realized that there are certain strengths which I have, but there are certain areas where I need those technical expertise, and where I'm so glad that I have a friend like you, where I don't understand the legalities of it, but if it comes from you, that will be the recommendation I can completely follow. और मुझे लगता है कि इतने ज़्यादा tough battles होते हैं, if you can get that supporting hand, it just means the world. And I'm so lucky and fortunate, Vinayak, to have you, and you have seen the good and the bad and the ugly and everything. But whenever I am in doubt, I will just call you up, and I know you will always give me the right advice, because there are different stakeholders and every stakeholder has a different incentive. So you really need to get that unbiased point of view, and it's extremely important that you have those few people who can give you an unbiased point of view, which are truly, truly valuable.
In fact, I think I'm far more luckier to have folks like you in my life, because as I said, yeah, I am what I am because of people like you. And you own a part of my heart. I've seen your journey. I've seen you resiliently fighting across so many battles, personal, professional, situational, and yet every time evolve like a phoenix. So मुझे तो पता ही है यार आप क्या बना रहे हो और किस हिसाब से बना रहे हो. But this brings me to a very interesting question यार. And you didn't answer one more question, and this is more for, a lot of young advisors who may be seeing this. How does this happen, Ahana? How does a relationship of an advisor and a client proceed to being friends for life? What does an advisor have to do things differently? Or does a client expect in that manner for it to move beyond just a transactional relationship? How does this happen? How does this crazy ass chemistry come into play?
I still remember, I think I can still remember the first conversation we had. It started with like a WhatsApp message जो मैंने post किया होगा कहीं तो किसी group में, that I'm looking for a lawyer.
One of your IIT groups.
Yeah, and then someone recommended you, and you came with a very, like highly recommended. And I picked up the phone and I was like, chalo, legal wala, like legal. And I'm sorry to say that I thought like very transactional conversation, like boring conversation. And then there will be so many legal jargons. I have been on these calls where I don't know why lawyers have these extremely difficult words that they use, which are definitely not necessarily. So I was like, chalo, theek hai, it's going to be that kind of a conversation. And I called you and you're like, Ahana, tell me about yourself. I was like, who is this lawyer who's interested in my personal journey and is not talking about the round construct? Who are the investors? What are the commercials? And is more interested in my journey. And I still remember you said that, Ahana, I want to work with people I resonate with. Yeah. And that is such a powerful line, Vinayak, because you know, when you are spending 16, and we can debate 14 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours, how many number of hours, you really want to spend it with people you really enjoy building. And whenever I am in a tough zone or I'm in a happy zone, when I'm having a conversation with you, we really enjoy. We might laugh at it, I might cry, but...
In fact, you have.
Yes, I have, but it will be a conversation which when I look back, I will feel proud of. And I think you want those kind of people in your journey. And it was extremely hard for me to believe that a lawyer can be a friend. And if I could be 100% honest, I just hate those conversations where there are 5 lawyers and where there are 6 lawyers, and I feel like mujhe bakhsh do, I want to go and build the business. But you have to do as a founder, again, you know, sometimes you have to do certain things which you don't want to do but you need to do. And a lot of the time, discipline is all about showing up, not because you love what you do, but because it's your job to get it done. But I'm so glad that for all those conversations, I have you by my side.
I'm actually more glad because, as I said, for me, you're a piece of my heart and I love what you're building. I love what you're creating. And अभी तो शुरुआत है, तो बहुत कुछ
start करना है. I mean, it's day one. I don't think we have done anything yet, but we still have that dream that we really want to unjunk.
And it's the North Star that matters. It's always the North Star.
Yes.
So this brings us to the penultimate segment, Ahana ke Lifeboats.
Oh.
What's the definition of Ahana's Lifeboats? What is it? Who is it? Give us the thought process around it. What keeps you sane? What keeps you alive? What are your lifeboats?
I think first and foremost, I do believe that everyone knows that the time on this planet is finite.
Yeah.
And I really believe I'm a very privileged person to have gotten the kind of opportunities I did. And I really want to build impact and legacy, create something which can be there even when I'm not around. And for me, as I said, the biggest lifeboat is my own resilience, is my own self-belief. That's number one. And I know it might sound very cliche, but you have to be your biggest cheerleader. You cannot keep seeking external validation. Until and unless you truly love yourself, you truly believe in yourself, no one can fill that void. So whenever I go through the toughest phase, and everyone has a different way to reacting to situation, I'm not the one who's gonna vent out, like I have to talk to people, I need to do my venting. No. I will go into my WeWork, into my cabin, I will sit there and I will just work. The best times I have are maybe like, I typically am at work from like 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. And then at 9 or 10 p.m, sometimes no one is there at office. And there are days where you feel so disappointed, what's going on. And sometimes you might just sit in there cry, all alone. But I know that I will sleep and the next morning I wake up, I will have that energy and I will just bring that hustle back. And I wish I could say the answer that, you know, there is this person A, there is this person B, there is this person C. But Vinayak, it has to be you. And for me, it's me. And I do believe that, and my mother used to say, whenever there's tough time, and I remember her words, Rahiman chup hai baithiye, dekh dinan ki fer, jabni ke din aayenge, tanak na lagi de. Be relentless. Be resilient, be patient, just keep building. Hopefully good days will come.
Not hopefully, I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
You know, and this brings me to one adage which I keep saying, and it's so important for every one of us to realize this, all the more for people like us who are building, who are constantly in that, you know, we are hamsters in our own treadmill, Ahana. As founders, I say that we are hamsters in our own treadmill, and the speed dial is just moving from fast to faster. So perhaps at that point of time, the most selfless thing that you can do to yourself is be selfish. A lot of people don't understand the value of this, but if you're selfish at times, that's the most selfless thing you're doing. You have to be selfish about your space, your mental happiness, your mental wellness, your time, your calendar, your compartment.
Yeah.
A lot of people do not understand the value of a compartment. I think as long as you understand the compartment and that life is made out of multiple compartments and they're not supposed to overlap each other, I think you'll keep building and you'll keep creating.
Yeah, and I think the only other thing which I'll add, Vinayak, is have a long-term view. You know, sometimes people might want to avoid the today's pain. And then we have this you only live once and all of those. I think that's the biggest crap. I think you really need to have a long-term point of view. You really need to believe in the power of compounding. You really need to believe in becoming a better version of yourself. And one exercise which I do and it's something which I've learned at HBA is that write a letter not to your younger self.
The future self.
But to your future self. And then think about, you know, what are the things when you look back you will be proud of. And that really helps in just removing the distractions away.
Clearing the clutter.
And it really helps you understand what truly matters. I remember when I was graduating from Harvard, I wrote, and they made us write this letter, and we opened it at a 5-year reunion. And I had written about the life of meaning and impact. And this is exactly what I'm building now. So deep desires jo hote hain na, you will realize it, and then you will ask yourself, if this is what truly matters, what is stopping me from doing this? And you will then figure out a way.
And that's where you cut out the noise and you put the blinkers on and keep building.
Yeah, absolutely.
I keep saying this, keep building one step at a time. And that's what matters, one step at a time.
Yeah.
So this brings us to the ultimate segment
of
our beautiful, beautiful conversation. I keep saying this, my team is very inspired by Bollywood. So they have this very unique concept of lifeboat shots.
Oh, that's why the reference of Mohan Bhargav.
Lifeboat shots, which is equivalent of rapid fire.
Okay.
So Ahana Gautam, यहाँ पे आप दिमाग नहीं दिल इस्तेमाल करोगे.
मेरा तो हमेशा माइंड ओवर मैटर होता है.
हाँ, थोड़ा सा चेंज करोगे इस बार. इसमें दिल आएगा, दिमाग नहीं. इसमें थोड़ा इंस्टेंटेनियस रिस्पॉन्सेज आएंगे.
ओके.
है ना? एंड थोड़ा स्ट्रेट बैट में खेलेंगे. Not that you don't play in straight bat, but this will be fun. Ready?
Let's go.
What's the most unusual food you've ever tried and did you like it?
I am not very experimental when it comes to food, but I have, the most unusual thing I've done is adding bhujia to everything. And yesterday I added bhujia to pasta and I absolutely loved it.
I think bhujia and pasta is still a combination I can live with. I want to hear from you one day that you added bhujia to vanilla ice cream.
Oh, I mean, I am a bhujia fan, and that's the reason we also had an unjunked baked bhujia.
Yeah.
And
another plugin,
and you have to try it out. And
gift me. I'm a poor founder.
And I think I added to my pasta. It tastes amazing.
Okay. Name a movie that never gets old, no matter how many times you've seen it.
I think Swades is something, and you mentioned Mohan Bhargav, and I still remember the name.
Yeah.
I know Kaveri Amma. So you can ask me. I've seen that movie 50 times.
Yeah.
More than 50 times. I love that movie.
Look at the coincidence, huh? That came up in our conversation.
Exactly, and that's why I'm saying that you can ask me anything about Swades. One of my favorites.
This I think I know, but let me still try and ask this. What's your go-to dance move when no one's watching?
So we have this ritual at Open Secret that we have this song called Jugnu.
Yeah, I knew it.
And you can go to my LinkedIn or you can go to my social media profile. whenever there is a great achievement or
The
when there's
Jugnu
the
starts.
shittiest time, we all do that Jugnu.
But I'm glad that you took my advice.
Yeah, added diversity.
Added diversity.
The other diversity.
The other diversity, yeah?
Yeah.
Matters, na?
Definitely, diversity always rocks.
I'm glad that you added that. This is also going to be very interesting. If you could be a character in a sitcom, who would you be and why?
Sitcom.
I think you have that crazy retentiveness of Rachel. No. Who's that? Monica. But yeah, I don't know whether you go into that. But answer. Why am I answering it for you?
I think
Sorry.
I love Succession. So maybe.
It's not a sitcom. We started with a sitcom.
But I don't
Succession is not situational comedy.
But I don't like. Why should I want to?
Don't change the question, Ahana.
I want to see the content I want to see. So I don't want
there
to
is
be
a question.
I'm not building. I want to build a more powerful life. I think sitcom is not that powerful.
Yeah, but don't change the question.
Fine. So the question is about the content has to be only that.
Yeah, the question I'll repeat again. If you could be a character in a sitcom, who would you be and why? There can be episodes of comedy in your life.
Fine. I don't even remember if there's anything I have seen after Friends. So now I have to, I would be Ross.
I think you should have been more Chandler with
I
your sarcasm.
I would be Ross because I'm like a nerd that way. I'm also...
Cool.
Was Ross cool?
Very cool.
I think Ross was uncool and I think being uncool is a new cool.
That's posturing. You're just posturing. Those are these kind of things are just about, showing a particular thought process. Cool is cool, man. You can't be uncool to be cool. That's just posturing. This is very interesting. What's a hidden talent or skill that you have which no one and even your family members are aware of?
I wanted to be an RJ and I thought I could do a good job about it. And I seriously feel that I want to explore that talent of mine.
Okay, so is that a wishful thinking or do you have the talent of jockeying?
I believe I have.
Interesting. I think we'll just move to the next question.
See, that's a perfect example. When people don't believe in you, but you still need to keep that desire alive.
You just changed the question. I said about a talent or skill that you have.
I feel I have.
You can't feel. It's binary. Either you have it or you don't have it.
No, I think there are infinite numbers between 0 and 1. That's mathematics.
Yeah, we're doing mathematical philosophy here, guys. But
and I do believe that it's between 0 and 1 somewhere.
I appreciate. We'll move to the next.
The limit could be trending to 0, but still, there are infinite numbers.
Okay. Yeah. Name a book that has a significant impact on your life.
I highly recommend this book. It's called How Will You Measure Your Life? Mm-hmm. It's by Clay Christensen. He's one of the most renowned professor. And he basically used business theories and he applied to personal life.
Nice.
And that really helped me understand my own purpose, my own passion. Fantastic book. I would recommend everyone to read it.
Very nice. Okay, since we're in the book, are you a hardcover or Kindle character?
Hardcover.
Good. But this is very interesting. If you could have any superpower for one day, what would it be and why?
I think I would want to love to read people's mind.
For one day?
Especially when I am doing all these pitches and people are saying, amazing job, Ahana. I really want to listen what's going on in their mind. And especially in today's world where everyone is so diplomatic and so nice. Would love to understand how they actually feel about things.
Interesting. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Zombie.
I love that song. This is very, very interesting. This I think you'll resonate a lot with.
Will I get a hamper?
It's a hamper with a lot of infinite love. Yeah.
You were talking about tangible
and intangible.
This
is the intangible bit.
No.
The tangible is where I negotiate for you. Now, if you could meet your younger self, what's the first question you would ask?
What's your weight? No, and the reason I'm asking is because I was a very overweight person, and I'm not talking about weight shaming, anything of that sort. But I really think it's extremely important to focus on your health and your well-being. And the reason I said because it's a more measurable thing, but it would be the fitness level, the health, and I did not pay attention at all. And I feel that's something which I would love to change if I can.
I can't not resonate more with that because you're speaking to someone who's lost 60 kgs, and this is not about childhood. It's about how I had destroyed myself while building a business. Because in the journey of building, you forget everything else, and the first thing that you forget is yourself, because you teleport yourself to the last of the food chain. And I'm yet 20 kilos away from what I want to be. So that's a huge journey. That's like, and I know how difficult it is, right?
And this is the fittest I've ever been. And I do believe that food is 80% of your fitness journey. And that's the reason I'm very passionate about unjunking as well.
I'm nowhere close to where I want to be, but 60 kg is not bad. It's like a human being who's gone out of me. Yeah. Dogs or cats?
Neither.
Coffee or tea? Coffee.
Both.
Tea?
Yeah, I think...
Since when?
So when I wake up, I want adrak ki chai.
Nice.
And then I want a tall latte with skim milk later during the day.
Okay. Beach or mountain?
Beach. I'm too scared of mountains.
Okay. Early bird or night owl? 5 o'clock in the morning, so early bird.
But I can be either. Like if
but then you have that look that you had the other day where, a toy has been taken out of a child's hand, and you have that look where sleep has been taken out of your eyes.
The reason I've become an early riser because I think that's a better way to plan your day.
Makes sense.
But I had night outs also when I was in IIT, so I can do both, but early riser is a better way to live your life.
Okay, last question. And I'll hold you to it. So this goes to you.
Okay.
Which person would you like to invite in season 2 of the podcast? Season 2 of Lifeboat. Who would you like to see and who would you like to invite on my behalf?
I would say that, I really hope that you bring a lot of women founders. There are not a lot of success stories out there, and it's definitely not an equal world. So I really believe that sometimes you really need to see people who look like you, who have a similar journey, to really believe that you can also do that.
So name a person.
I think few, I would say Ghazal from Mama Earth, fantastic.
Whoever you have to invite for my behalf. So think from that perspective.
Okay, so I have to
I'll hold you to it. I started by saying that.
Okay, so the person who I can...
Yeah, first person circle.
I would say like Ghazal from Mama Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely admire her journey.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, we think about the skill sets I have. She has interest in arts. She has a background in arts, and now she's building the biggest consumer brand in India.
Yeah.
And at the same time, if you follow her social media, she's also very authentic. Doesn't care about what people talk about her. And she's also having fun while building it, which is so rare when you see a founder. So I would definitely say Ghazal would be very inspiring for a lot of people.
So this brings us, Ahana Gautam, to the end of this wonderful, wonderful podcast. Words cannot... I'm supposed to be very good with words. I'm supposed to be very, very articulative. That's my job. But words can't express the gratitude that I have for you. The gratitude for your time, the gratitude for your calendar, the gratitude for your attention, and the fact that of what I'm trying to build, what I'm trying to create, you're one of the most significant people playing a part in that. And the fact that a piece of my heart is where you belong. And I will be always one of your loudest cheerleaders. And hopefully also the person who will be taking the bullets for you as your counsel. But I can't thank you enough for
You
doing
should also
this.
fire bullets.
I do. Your documents say that. It's all favor towards you. But I can't thank you enough for this.
No, I had a wonderful time, Vinayak. I think it's always a pleasure to have this conversation. And as I said, I knew we will go into the why and the why and the what and how
and
behind everything. Exactly. So I had a wonderful time, and thank you so much for having me.
It's It's my pleasure. I couldn't have done this without you. This entire season would be incomplete if you were not there. So, as I said, team super inspired by Bollywood.
Okay.
So we have something called the Lifeboat cupboard.
What's your favorite Bollywood movie?
There are too many. But
It has to be rapid.
Yeah. So if I have to say my all-time favorite,
Yeah.
it's Anand.
Okay. Rajesh Khanna.
Yeah.
Babu Moshai.
Yeah. It's not about that. It's about the fact that in the face of the worst adversity, when you know that the clock is ticking, and when you know that you have more than or even less than finite space, it's about how do you go across and keep that mental balance.
It's all about the mindset.
It's always
right?
about the mindset.
Yeah.
So for me, my entire life has been about my mindset. What I've built has been because of my mindset. What I'm being able to do right now is because of my mindset. And hopefully I'm trying to do something very, very different than what a typical professional would do. So with that, the last part of the Bollywood essence, there is a beautiful mug which will go into our Lifeboat cupboard, which you will go and keep, given that you're in my office for this. Please write something, whatever you feel, however it's been, and we will cherish it forever.
Okay, so this is, who am I writing this for?
Me.
For you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say have open
You're not
secret.
supposed to say that. Right.
I'm gonna say have open secret at your office for all your employees so that they can have healthy snacking at work.
That's like the unlimited number of the plugins that has happened.
This is not working, the pen.
It's not working?
No, oh, now it's working.
It always takes a little bit of effort, just like life.
Oh.
That's okay, you can scratch and write. There's a lot of space. You're ensuring your handwriting is the best, so that there's no doubt
I just
in
want to
recollection.
ensure that I can write my name so that you can recognize who has written it. Otherwise, you are not even able to figure out.
I just figured out the vibe here. You do realize that the mug itself is a different color, so I don't need to recognize handwriting here. All right, I need to read this out. Wonderful. Your energy is contagious and always a pleasure to sit down and be 100% honest with you, Ahana. So, folks, there you have it. Ahana Gautam from Open Secret, and it's been a wonderful chat. Thank you, Ahana, for doing this.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. हेयर पीछे कर, आगे कर, साइड में ऐसे आगे कर. हाँ, ये हो गया, परफेक्ट. Hi, this is Vinayak Burman. I hope आपको उतना ही मजा आया इस एपिसोड को देखने के लिए जितना मुझे आया इसको बनाने में. And if you think this adds value to your life, if you think this will teach you something, if you think this will help you to learn and create something in your lives, then go across and like, subscribe, share and comment. It will mean the whole world to me and my friends. If you don't have time to watch the entire podcast, then do subscribe to Vinayak Burman Clips and Vinayak Burman Shots, where we take out the most relevant extracts, the most important extracts of those podcasts, of those stories, of those moments for you and for your benefit, so that you can try and understand the gist of the whole conversation and yet take a lot of learning home. Till we see you next time, signing off, Vinayak Burman.